It's Halloween, the time for monsters, ghosts, and tiny Tesco Halloween displays. Woo! So yeah, Halloween doesn't really happen here. Not round where I live anyway. Which sucks because I really like the holiday. Please, if you live somewhere within the UK where Halloween looks like this, then you better tell me, because I want in on that. But until then, all I can really do is sit in my spooky chair and watch reruns of WCW's Halloween Havoc.
You are seeing the end of Hulk Hogan!
The scariest thing here is the fact that people paid to see this. I mean, aside from that and classic horror films, I can't really think of anything else to do with my Halloween. It feels like I'm missing something. Films, wrestling, what was that other thing I liked? Video games? Oh yeah, it was video games! So why don't I play some horror games? Because I don't like horror games. Yeah, sorry 90% of YouTubers, but I'm afraid I won't be joining you in playing the latest installment of Five Nights at Freddy's. Look, I get scared really easily, okay? So, horror games just aren't my thing. I tried. I really did. You can watch me play Zombie U on my channel.
Go away. Go away!
It didn't go too well. I just don't really find that much enjoyment out of games like that. However, it never hurts to try again, and since it's Halloween, I thought I'd face my fear and play some horror games. But I'm only playing really fucking old ones. Now, I'm going by Wikipedia's definition of a horror game, based on this article. So, sorry if that's wrong. Guess you'll just have to shoot me. You'll have to try harder than that! So we begin this collection of classic horror with one of the earliest horror games I could find, Haunted House for the Atari 2600. We start up the game and oh my! Those are some graphics. To be fair though, this game from 1982 is actually pretty fun for what it is. As you might be able to tell, you're a guy, or a girl, it's hard to tell with just eyes, and your task is to search through this dark, spooky house for 3 pieces of an urn. Yeah, that's supposed to be an urn. Use your imagination. However, in order to find these urn pieces, among other bonus items, you have to light a match to illuminate the area around you, causing one of the most eye-bleedingest things I've ever uploaded. I apologize for this. The game runs at a weird frame rate and recording it really messed it up. It wasn't this bad when I played before, honest. However, while searching the many floors of this house for items, you'll run into enemies. These enemies feature a spider, a ghost, and Cell's headpiece? And if you thought that you could kill things in this game, well, you were wrong. Because this is Atari. There's only one button, and that's used for lighting matches. So you more or less have no way to defend yourself, except to run. Run and hide. Hide in the darkness, deep locked away in a corner of the house, hoping, praying that the monsters don't find you, that they don't find you and eat your pants! I will say that that is extremely tense and, dare I say, spooky. Not being able to defend yourself, having to wait for a monster to leave the room before you can search it, hoping that it doesn't follow you. Even being a little bit scared to go up or down a floor because you could easily find the monsters there, waiting for you. But you have to. You can't escape this place until you find all 3 urn pieces. It's a little bit like Alien Isolation. A very, very primitive Alien Isolation. Did I mention the music in this game yet? Oh, that's because there is none. Which shouldn't surprise you, it's Atari, it was barely capable of bats, let alone music. But the sound effects are so classic and they just add to this game's atmosphere. It's really quite impressive how a game this old and this basic could be so fun. And to be honest, a little unnerving. Then again, a pair of glowing eyes floating about a dark mansion was always going to be a bit creepy. Ah well, we found all the urn pieces, so let's get out of here. And into the Twilight Zone, apparently. Let's stick with the Atari 2600 and take a look at the holiday's namesake, Halloween. It's shit. Okay, let's try a more advanced console. The NES. Surely this will have something horror-related for us. Castlevania. Does this count? Well, according to the Wikipedia article it does. So you can go and find that link in the description. Castlevania. Made by Konami. Man, if this is anything like PT, it's gonna be cancelled. So we start off entering a spooky castle, and man, I'm getting a real Monster Bash vibe from this. I'm excited. Let's play. Alright, seems good so far. Got a whip. That's pretty good. Ah, the entrance. Let's adventure on. Ghouls! Stay back, stay back, stay back, stay back! Oh, hey, look, money. So this is level 1, and the first thing I notice is that I have a life meter and a heart counter. Okay, I guess I'll figure that out later. Ah, shit! The fuck is that? A dog? I gotta fight dogs? Don't make me fight dogs. I barely know the controls and you're making me flail a goddamn morning star into Rover's head. Calm the fuck down, game! Okay, now I'm confused. I'm getting hearts, but my health isn't coming back. The hell is with that? And good lord, do these ghouls ever stop? They are relentless. You'd think after a while they'd give up, but they just don't. I'll be honest with you. This game is kinda stiff. Doesn't really have the easiest controls to use. The jumping is especially weird. Basically, you don't have full control like in Mario, but rather, when you jump whilst moving, you've basically committed to landing in a certain place. Like, you will always go the same distance and you can't stop. Which makes platforming a pain, to say the least, and will at some point lead to... Oh look, a staircase. What the hell? I'm an explorative type. What's down here then? Oh, no. No to that, thanks. The first boss is a bat, and I didn't really get it at first, but it turns out the best thing to use is the axe item. Oh yeah, there's items in this. I didn't really get that for a while either. You gotta push B and up. B and up to use items. Alright, fair enough. You don't got many buttons to work with, that's understandable. But maybe telling me would have been nice, though. Also, the hearts, they're ammo. For your item. That's okay. Weird choice of ammo, but I'm down with that. I get the concept. Alright, level 2, also known as fuck you. This level can be summed up in one word. Heads. Heads. Heads! What's with the flying heads? They go up, they go down, they kill you, you die. I don't like this. How the fuck are you supposed to avoid these things with the aforementioned stiff jumping controls? I died to these things more than any other enemy in the game, more than the bosses. And it's not that they deal a lot of damage, 2 pieces of health per hit, that's pretty standard. It's just that they keep coming. Also, there's this bit where you die, and die, and die, and die. The floating heads have to be one of the most annoying enemies in any game I've ever played. Honestly, the majority of my deaths in this game came from falling. I mean, sure, health isn't exactly everywhere, but you don't really take a lot of damage per hit. But when you do get hit, you get knocked back. And that, plus the stiff controls, means you gonna fall. Eventually you get to this level's boss, which is, oh fuck you! A literal flying head is the boss. Wonderful. Beat that, then it's on to level 3, which features a ghost, monkeys, and
spooky, scary skeletons.
So the objective of this level is to fucking make this jump. Now, I will say though, I do love the level progression here. None of these stages I've played feel the same. They even have their own unique enemies, making everything feel different. On the subject, each stage having different music is great too, because if you were stuck on stage 2 for a long time like me, you never want to hear that song again. So changing it up is really nice, and it does help that this game has some great music. Oh good. The heads are back. Okay, this is bullshit. This statue thing shoots at you, and you can't get close to it to attack because the controls feel like you're trying to move boxes with someone else's hands. I can't do this anymore. So yeah, this game was too hard for me. I'm not very good at NES. I grew up with a Nintendo 64, so these hardcore old school games were never really my thing. I will say though that the seeds of a fun experience are here, so maybe the later Castlevanias are better. I'll have to check some other time. Next we have Nightmare Creatures for the Nintendo 64. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about this one. Apparently it's mixed to positive. Ah, well, never could trust those game journalists. What with their pens. The opening cinematic and oh, you're one of those games. No, I'm not gonna. Also, what the hell is going on back here? Yeah, it's probably best not to ask. Alright, main menu seems creepy enough. Just select my character and off we pop. Level 1, Chelsea. And, oh! Thanks, story. No, I didn't need to see. Oh, look, a zomble. Let's try A. Ah! Oh, sweet fuck, his head's gone. He seems fine, though. There. Dead. Hang on. Why is he getting up? For real, I tried everything, but I could not kill this one zombie. Weird way to start. So this is Nightmare Creatures, and it's pretty creepy. I love the music, if you could call it that. So shadowy and foreboding, I love it. It's scary without being too heavy-handed, unlike some games which feel the need to just throw in jump scares. Ah! Well, it was good while it lasted. To be fair though, the jump scares in this game aren't really cheap. Rather, they're more sudden introductions, if you will, of monsters, which puts you suitably on edge. The main focus of this game seems to be the combat, which is pretty good. Controls are a bit janky at times, but it works. Using items is pretty simple and they're fairly responsive. To me, this feels like a 3D Castlevania, except less supernatural and more just horrible. The gun is probably my favourite item. It's hilarious. Some big scary abomination against nature looming over you? Just Indiana Jones it. Brilliant. I gotta be honest though, I didn't make it very far in this game. While the first level was a breeze, I found the second level was just a nightmare. Because you just get wailed on by enemies from everywhere and you couldn't escape because of the janky controls, and then the zombies started blocking? When was that ever a thing? Oh, well, hello there. I'm sure whatever that is, it's friendly. Oh yes, hello friend, it is I, another friend. Oh fuck, shit, balls, game over. Well, in all, I thought Nightmare Creatures was a fun experience. I'd honestly probably try a more modern game like this, with less janky controls of course, but no, I liked it a lot. Up until now we've been going forward with these, but for the last game, I want to go back to my childhood. Alakazoo! Monster Bash. Yeah, that game we mentioned earlier. This is honestly one of the first games that I ever played, so I'm really excited to revisit it. Yeah, you okay, buddy? Need some indigestion tablets? So the game starts by telling us that we need to free all the cats and dogs before we can beat the stage. Hey, that's good enough motivation for me. As long as they ain't gonna attack me, I'm fine. You start the stage by falling from the sky, and you're soon left wondering what the controls are. Well, let me tell you, my good sirs. Arrows to move, duck, and aim upwards. Good so far. And control to jump, and alt to fire.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
Once you've figured that out, it's time to start your mission and rescue all the cats and dogs. And you do this by shooting the locks off of their adorable little cages. You can also collect sweets as points, and wow, this whole scene is just pure nostalgia for me right now. I can remember being about 7 and playing this and collecting the sweeties and sandwiches as I called them. Yeah, I thought these were sandwiches. Though to be fair, I'm still not entirely convinced that they're not. After some probably very disrespectful grave hopping, we come across our first real enemy of the game. A zombie! These are easily dealt with by... Ah! Twat! These are easily dealt with by shooting them a lot with your slingshot. You know, I always thought the zombies looked like Rolf from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Blue hair did it, I guess. Along with zombies, your main hazards in this game are spikes covered in jam, falling blocks, and severed hands the size of your entire torso. The hands are also assholes. You know, despite not playing this game for well over 10 years, I remember this level almost exactly. You eventually go underground and explore a little cave system. Come here. Come down here. Come down here and face justice for your hand crimes. There's a treasure chest here, but it doesn't seem to do anything. I'm sure that's normal. Once you beat all the enemies and free all the animals, a ladder will appear to let you out. How high does this thing go? Oh, to the trees, where there's nothing but sweets. Hey, I ain't complaining. This stage is pretty short, but I played it a lot when I was younger, hence why its layout seems to still be burned into my memory even after all these years. Do you know what isn't burned into my memory? The sound. Yeah, growing up, our family PC didn't actually have any speakers, so I played this game entirely without sound. But now I can play it with sound. It's excellent. The music is cheesy, but it really does fit with the rest of the game. The one thing I'm not too keen on is the sound that the skulls make when you kill them. I don't know, it just feel a bit too discount jokery to me. Level 2, and oh! You okay, buddy? Did you need a hand down? You don't look comfortable. I'm gonna give you a hand down. Ah! Mistake! Mistake! Oh god, and now birds! Birds! Eat rocket, avian menace! Gotta say, I don't remember level 2 that much. I remember the skeletons and the snake heads, but not much else. I don't think I ever made it past this one. And it looks like I won't here either. Game over. Shit. Man, it was such a treat checking out Monster Bash again. Honestly, for a game this old, it was incredibly fun. If they re-released this now with the ability to use a controller, I'd really love that. Make it happen, Nintendo. And that, as they say, seems to be it. We took a look at some old spooky video games and I told you what I thought. So what have we learned on this journey? Well, it seems that for me, while horror games aren't necessarily my thing, I do have a soft spot for spooky themed games. Games with cute little ghosties and monsters. And in the end, isn't that the real spirit of Halloween? No, it's drugs. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you'd like to support my channel, please consider signing up for a 40-day free trial of Crunchable.com. Crunchable.com is an anime audiobook streaming service which doesn't fucking exist.
First blood.
This town is coming and it goes down. All the clubs are being closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town. Bands won't play no more.
It just seems like no matter what I do, Halloween gets duller every year. What do you think, Mr. Bones? You always say that. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've got everything. The costume, the decorations, the festive scented candle. Its scent is Halloween. It smells of Halloween. I even bought a Funko Pop of that red-headed doll that kills people in those movies. And none of it is making Halloween feel any more special. Hang on. What did I do last year? Oh! Oh yeah, I played horror games, didn't I? You guys remember, right? It was my first ever review, back when I'd stopped doing Let's Plays and decided to make more scripted content. You know, it's funny. A lot of YouTubers actually end up not liking their first videos. Maybe it's the fact that it's only been a year, but personally, I still love old school horror games. As in the video I made, not actual horror games. We've been over this! But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that video last year, and maybe the fun I had making it is why it's still one of my favourite reviews I've ever done. But enough about last year. What am I going to do this year? I can't exactly just play old horror games again. I'll run out of interesting ones. Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be looking for horror. Maybe I should just be looking for games to play on Halloween. Yeah, things don't have to be horror just to be enjoyed on Halloween. I mean, think of all the Halloween specials from when you were a kid. Were they all really that scary? No, and let's be honest, a lot of games I looked at last year, I'd barely class as horror. Probably more spoopy. So, there we go. Let's do that. Instead of fearing for my life like I do on a daily basis, I say for Old Hallows Eve, we gather round our cauldron, say a magic spell, and play some spoopy Halloween games. Last year I took a look at Castlevania for the NES, a game about hunting vampires that I was very good at. I figured it's only fair that we take a look at its sequel, on the SNES. You didn't think we'd play that game, did you? Ha ha ha! It was already night, you stupid fucks! Ah, Konami. This, of course, was back when they made video games. Ooh, a spooky wall covered in spiders, creepy vines, and trilobites? How long ago does this game take place, exactly? Is this a Cambrian retelling of Dracula? I could be down with that. After the title screen, we get a genuinely creepy opening text scroll in a foggy graveyard. The music in this section is so eerie and unnerving, it puts you right in the spooky mood.
Every 100 years, the forces of good mysteriously start to weaken. It turns out that it was just an iron deficiency twinned with poor exercise.
Blah blah blah, Dracula's old and he's back to eat your dog, so it's up to good old Billy Belmont to stop him. Let's go! Right away, I can see a massive improvement on the original game. Not just graphically, though that is still a major improvement, as obvious as it is, but as well to the controls. Jumping is actually jumping now. You have control over where you land, and stairs are a lot less annoying. But probably the most important update? You can now whip in multiple directions, to the sides, up, down, diagonal. You can even swing this bad boy in a circle. Also, I'm dying. No, please! The first level, much like getting a hold of estrogen, took me way longer than it needed to. I'll chalk a lot of this up to simply not knowing the controls very well. But despite the jumping certainly being better than the original, it is still a tad difficult to dodge things. Especially when you have to deal with a statue spitting fireballs at you while bats fly directly into your face! Fuck. And then the ceiling grows mold and it tries to kill you, but that's okay. I'm sure the decapitated horse heads will be friendly and not try to eat my legs. Oh, they're bastards as well. Also, good job at camouflaging the enemies into the floor, you dicks. Why not make it more hard for me? And now the flying heads from the first game are back. You know I was joking, right? On to level 2, and damn, I love this level's art style. Nothing wrong with the castle interior on the first one, mind you, but I just have a soft spot for dimly lit forests at night. It's so Halloweeny with all its graves and grabby zombie hands. All it needs are some jack-o'-lanterns and a free candy van, and it's perfect. That's either some kind of monster made of leaves, or half the sprite didn't load. And just when you thought the enemies in this game couldn't get any more weird, are those hedgehogs? When and how did Dracula think that hedgehogs would make good additions to his army of the night. Tell me, how and when did that happen?
Bleh! Oh no! How could I have made such a ridiculous shopping error?
What is it, Master? What is wrong?
I've accidentally bought 200 hedgehogs on Amazon! What am I going to do with all of these hedgehogs?
Master, forgive me, but I believe that these creatures would make wonderful minions for your army.
This is why I do not pay you anything.
I'm terribly sorry, that joke went absolutely nowhere and I've wasted everybody's time. Oh, buggery fuck, everything's come to kill me now. After this forest section, we end up in a dirty, muddy, filthy swamp place, and thanks to these birds, I have learnt a new meaning of hate. The rest of this level is a nerve-wracking trundle through a watery cave, complete with death. The third level appears to be made of melted candles. At least I think that's what this is supposed to be. Candles? Bones? Earwax? Now I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about the items in this game. It wasn't much of an issue when I played the original, but wow, this game loves to give you shitty items when you don't need them. Or should I just say shitty item, because there's only really one that gets on my nerves. Now the cross is good. You throw it, it hits people, comes back and hits them again. It's basically a boomerang. Solid weapon. The knife is a forward-moving projectile, like the cross, but only one way. It's still a pretty good item. Now the real fuckery comes when you get shit like the axe. Seriously, fuck this thing. It arcs over your enemies. It misses them completely. Sure, sometimes the game gives you high above enemies where throwing it up could be useful. But then again, you can whip diagonally. So what's the point of the axe? Then there's the holy water. Okay, it's not as bad as the axe. It does at least go forward. It can be used to kill things in front of you. It just has no range. But then there's the most satisfying weapon. The stopwatch. It stops time! If you're like me and you can't stand bats, birds, and other flying bastards dodging your whip and hitting you in the face, this is the best item in the game. But items like the axe are still a huge problem. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if you could avoid it easily, but items are hidden in candles everywhere, and sometimes you don't even realize you've picked one up until you next go to use your item. Oh, and once you've picked up a weapon, it replaces the old one you had. So that's nice. The rest of this level is basically just climbing up a waterfall, which I'm very good at. I'm surprised, actually. The amount of variation in this game is really... Apparently you can moonwalk in the game. Who knew? You know, fighting this Hydra was fun and all, but I think I'm done with this one. 3 levels seems to be my limit for Castlevania games anyway. So that was Castlevania 4, a definite upgrade from the last one I played. Made some solid improvements to the combat and to the platforming. Not to mention, it had a pretty spooky atmosphere. Though it's still not fully tickling my Halloween bones, so it looks like we'll have to move on. Though, before we do... Last year in my old school horror games video, you may remember that I reviewed a certain Atari 2600 game. If so, you probably recall that I didn't exactly give it an in-depth analysis. It's shit. To make up for it, I've decided to look at the game again this year. So, let's find out why Halloween for Atari 2600 is shit. Well, for starters, it looks like this. I mean, you know, do I need to say more? Can't we just, just milk the cow and get out of here? No, I must give this game a fair review. I promised, after all. So, what exactly is going on in this game? You play as Laurie Strode from the original 1978 film Halloween, and you're being stalked by the killer, Michael Myers, as is the case in said movie. And your objective is to rescue the children and bring them to the other side of the house. I'm not sure why the other side of the house is safe. I guess Michael just doesn't want to go in there for some reason? Does it trigger bad memories? Was it blessed by a priest? Is it full of bad smells? Either way, both the left and right ends of the house are safe zones from Michael, and you have to take the kids there by just kind of walking into them, I guess. I mean, the button only works half the time, so good luck with that. I will admit that the game can be a little bit tense, as Michael can pop up out of anywhere, and despite the fact that the only piece of music in the game is the Halloween theme, I do sort of like how it only plays when he's on screen. It's just a shame that the Atari couldn't handle sound at all. I shouldn't really complain about the graphics. I mean, what do you really expect? It's the Atari 2600, but man, this game looks bad. Haunted House had a style to it, and games on the Atari could look good if they used the system's limitations well. I mean, look at Pitfall. That looked almost 20 times better than old tumor legs over here. I'm done with this game now. No prizes for guessing, but it didn't exactly fill the Halloween void I've got going on here. Well, up next is a game that, sadly, wasn't actually released outside of the United States. So in order for us to play it, we'll have to use the dark magics. The dark magics of...
Console emulation.
Yeah. The game in question is I Spy Spooky Mansion, which was released in 1999 for the PC. However, we'll be playing the 2010 Wii version because, I mean, that's just clearly going to be the best system to play it on. The game opens with a pretty creepy shot of the mansion, and then you type in your name and have to pick a flavour of cursor. There's apple, blueberry, tomato, and piss. Once you've picked your colour, you're taken straight to the house where the door creaks open, revealing... Oh, it's the skeleton of Tyrion Lannister. So this is Skelly, and she owns the house that we've made the unfortunate mistake of entering. It's alright though, she's pretty friendly.
You've entered the house. Now the fun can begin. Too bad you can't get out. The way you came in.
I will need an entire pant change.
This puzzle is a secret message which tells you how to get out of the house. To earn puzzle pieces, you have to go solve the I Spy riddles that I've hidden in this house. When you earn a piece, come back here to put it in place.
Well, you heard her. Let's go solve them puzzles! So yes, this is a point-and-click scavenger hunt game. In each room of the house there is at least one puzzle station, a table or set area that you can click on to activate. Each scene gives you a rhyming list of items to find, and when you see them, you point and click to check them off your list. Some items are hidden though, so you're able to look around the scene to help you find them, and even then, this game likes to play tricks on you. This one is fairly obvious, a drink on ice, the ice spells drink, very clever. Then it asks me for a shell, and I swear I spent 7 minutes circling this fucking board game until I saw this. Yes, sometimes the items you're looking for are actually just images of them on the walls. After you find all the items in a scene, Skelly appears from somewhere creepy and awards you a piece of the puzzle. So far I have one. Excellent. Just the rest of my life to go. Let's check out the kitchen. I'm pretty hungry and I could use a snack. Oh, lovely. The kitchen has a little mini game where you gotta make something called fly stew, but the recipe doesn't actually call for flies, so I'm pretty confused about the whole thing, really. Just stir in the raven feathers and we're done. What do you think of that, Skelly? I'm no Gordon Ramsay, but I think I did alright.
Whee! I'm flying.
Oh. That's fucking stupid. Okay, I gotta be real with you guys here. This kitchen is starting to give me the creeps. I don't like this window being open, and I think I... What the fucking... Why would you play... Is that a bloody handprint? Who was fucking murdered in this kitchen? Was it me? Was it me? Was I the one murdered in that kitchen? Is that what this is? Did you bring me forward in time to witness my own future death before it happened? What the fuck is wrong with you? You little fucking... I'm out. I'm just out. Skelly, you give me that puzzle piece and I'm getting the fuck out of this kitchen. So this is essentially the game. You go from room to room, finishing little scavenger hunts, collecting puzzle pieces as you go. I gotta say, I really like the atmosphere of this game. There's practically no music except for the little jingles that happen whenever you find things, and the visual design is on point. Very spoopy. This house is so classic Halloween horror, I love it! Each room is just brimming with festive spooks, I can barely contain myself. Eventually, you find all the puzzle pieces and complete the picture frame message. What does it say?
Stuck in this house for a long night. Time to get out, but the door is shut tight. If you want to escape, listen to this clue. The phonograph in the parlor has a message for you.
You're not serious.
The way out is not here. Head up the stairs. Under my bed, find the face made of squares.
Oh, this game better not be serious. Oh, baby, you better not fall. Okay, we're in the kitchen again.
Is this the recipe that will help you get out? This pot of shrinking soup holds a secret, no doubt.
But that's just the fly stew from earlier, though.
Step 1. Stir in 11 tiny toadstools. But we're all out of tiny toadstools. You'll have to explore the house again to find more. Play the I Spy riddles in my house again to find 11 tiny toadstools. Let's go.
No, I'm not gonna do that. That's stupid. Fuck you. Yeah, I do not have the energy to complete this game right now. Maybe some other time. All in all, though, I really enjoyed I Spy Spooky Mansion. It definitely met all my criteria for a Halloween game. Despite its cheapness, it's full of charm, from the level design, the art direction, and its characters. Skelly is great. She's weird, spooky, and probably my favourite part of this game. But sadly, this game does fall short in a few areas, though strangely none of them are actually to do with the game itself. As this game was emulated, it didn't run 100% perfectly. The lounge and dining rooms were especially slow and caused the game to chug along at times. Though I suppose it did make the speech a little scarier.
Enter if you dare. You're in for a scare.
A more glaring issue with the emulation was that since I was obviously just using a mouse instead of a Wiimote, certain tasks became a lot harder. Most notable was this 3D maze minigame that you had to tilt the Wiimote in order to play. Or in my case, use the numpad buttons that I had assigned to tilt. It didn't go so well. Oh my goodness. No! Ass! Ass! Oh, good. Oh no! No! What buttons do what? No, it's back at the fucking start! Oh. It's sad, because I really enjoyed this game from what I played. If you're in America or own an American Wii and can afford the import, definitely give it a try. It's fantastically spoopy and all kinds of fun. But of course, that doesn't help us get any closer to finding the perfect Halloween game. I wonder what I've got on Steam. Let's check. Alright, let's see here. No, did that already. Oh, the memories. No. What's in here? Left 4 Dead 2, huh? Sounds good to me. How was I operating the mouse with a controller? I doubt I need to introduce the Left 4 Dead franchise to anyone in the audience, but here's the basics. It's a zombie first-person shooter developed by Valve. You play as one of 4 survivors who have to make their way from the beginning of the level all the way to the safe house at the end. On top of just regular zombies, you also have to deal with special infected, such as tanks, boomers, and hunters, just to name a few, all while trying to keep your teammates, and yourself, alive. Now I know what you're thinking. Zombies are a lot more horror than Halloween. Why are we looking at Left 4 Dead? Specifically, we're looking at Left 4 Dead 2. And the reason? Mods. Ah yes, mods. Those little benefits of PC gaming that let you do whatever the hell you want with almost any game. For better or worse. So as you can see, Left 4 Dead is a little bit too serious for my tastes. So I say we turn this drab into fab. How about a mod which turns the survivors into some glow-in-the-dark party skeletons? Well, that's pretty spooky, right? Well, it certainly makes my teammates a hell of a lot more noticeable. No more accidentally shooting them in the back. Well, okay, maybe just a little bit. These costumes are pretty cool, but just adding skeletons isn't exactly going to make the situation better on its own. By which I mean absolutely no offense, Mr. Bones. I'm just going to put you over there. How about a mod which turns pills into jars of candy corn? I don't quite know what candy corn is, but I sure do love pills. Oh, my legs hurt. Tired of firing bullets? How about we change all those ammo piles into candy? Fire candy at them. Just shoot Snickers into their dicks. That'll do it. How about we replace health packs with pumpkin pies? I'm sure that's just as good as medicine. Speaking of pumpkins, I even have a mod which adds pumpkin-related decorations all over the map. Look at those cute little pumpkin boys. But none of this is enough. I mean, it's helping, but I just need more. I need more. More. Oh yeah, I should get that. I should get that. Oh, this one's ghost blood? Why the hell wouldn't I want ghost blood? Look at all this stuff, it's just... Yes. Behold. Left 4 Dead. Improved! I think I Halloweened too much. Okay, that bit didn't entirely go as planned, but as you can see, Left 4 Dead is now fully Halloween. Look at the little ghosties, look at the bright spoopy colours, oh, it's almost perfect. Almost, because it's Left 4 Dead, and the AI is fucking useless. Here's the thing, Left 4 Dead is a multiplayer game. It's designed to be played by 4 people online, and usually you can get through most of the levels of a single player campaign fine on your own, but the last section usually requires some level of human thinking. Now sometimes this might just mean that you have to retrieve every single gas can yourself and it just takes longer, but sometimes it can just straight up get you killed, as was the case here. The last objective was literally just to run to the safe house while a never-ending horde attacked you. With players this would be fine, as you could strategize a little, help each other more effectively. But with bots? Yeah, this was never going to work. And before you ask, why don't I just play online with friends? Do I look like the kind of person who's friends with people who aren't skulls? So, despite it all, we're still not there yet. As much as it sucks. I just want one game. One perfect Halloween game. Is that honestly too much to ask for? Hang on, do you hear? What is that? Do you hear that? What is... Everybody, I present to you Halloween Forever. Released in October of 2016, Halloween Forever is a neo-retro game with a very in-your-face Halloween aesthetic, which I love, like a little baby piglet. The game is a side-scrolling platformer where you play as an anthropomorphic pumpkin in dungarees who has to... Wait, what was the story of this game again?
Deep within a forgotten pumpkin patch, an undead sorcerer lurks. He weaves an ancient spell and spirits begin to rise.
He also apparently shoots Mountain Dew from his sleeves. He was just kind of weird like that.
All Hallows Eve, now and forever, let the nightmare begin!
Okay, so an undead sorcerer weaves an ancient spell, and this pumpkin gives a look that says he does not want to deal with this shit tonight. Oh, for Pete's sake, not this fucker again. I'm not in mood. There's no more story after that, by the way. His eyes just turn green and then it goes straight to the main menu. Masterful storytelling. So I suppose you're just on a quest to defeat the undead sorcerer. Seems simple enough. At your disposal, you have a double jump and a projectile that... What the hell is... Is that candy corn again? What the hell even is candy corn? Like, I understand that it's an American sweet and it's associated a lot with Halloween, but like, what is it? Because it doesn't look like food. Well, either way, it's what you fire in this game. Your enemies range from dark mages who cast spells, chainsaw maniacs who charge at you, bats, skeletons, just a whole load of great Halloween staples. But all is not as it seems, for beneath this game's charming, spooky exterior is a really fucking hard game that I keep dying in and I really don't appreciate. Normally I wouldn't be into these super difficult games where you die over and over, but there's just something about Halloween Forever that stops me from rage quitting. I mean, apart from the first time I rage quit after I couldn't beat the first boss. And honestly, I don't think it's purely the Halloween aesthetic that keeps me playing. I think this game is just really good at making you want to get further into it. Get past where you last died and see the rest of the game. It teases you in such a way that makes you think that maybe you could have beaten that boss if you just jumped a little earlier or hit him from the other side. It keeps you playing. And I'll tell you now, this game isn't forgiving. When you run out of lives, it is straight back to level 1 for you, which would normally be a deal breaker for me. I mean, even Castlevania didn't do that. But for some reason, this game just kept making me want to come back and try again. I know I said it wasn't the Halloween aesthetic that did it for me, but I'm a fucking liar. The art style of this game is obviously one of the reasons that I love it and keep playing, along with its fantastic soundtrack. It's not the best made game in the world. The controls can be a little stiff and unresponsive at times, which did lead to my death once or twice, which is a load of old Jamie McCrimmon. But honestly, this game is simply winning me over with its charm alone. It's not perfect, no. And it was honestly silly for me to expect it to be. We've played a lot of games tonight, and if I've learned anything, it's that nothing is perfect. Every game had its flaws, no matter how much I enjoyed them, but that's okay. Everything has flaws. In a kinda strange way, that's a lot like Halloween itself. Nothing is perfect on Halloween, but you still have a great time no matter what. The costumes can be cheap or inaccurate, the candy might give you a stomachache in the morning, and the horror film you're watching could be cheesy or just downright bad, but you still enjoy the time with your friends and family regardless. And if something is a bit rubbish, you can just point and laugh. It's all in the spirit of things. Was it a bit much to try and squeeze in a message at the end of this video? Probably, but I'm getting paid either way, so I don't really care. Thank you everybody for watching my Halloween video. I hope you all have a spooky Halloween, and remember to have fun and be good to one another. If you need me, I'll just be sat here waiting for the paycheck. Oh shit. I don't get paid for YouTube. Thanks for watching. Today's video was sponsored by Goats for You. How many goats do you own? That's not enough! Visit goatsforyou.com to purchase premium goats at low altitudes, or call our hotline to speak to our resident goat expert about goats or goat-related topics of your choosing. Goats for You. It's time.
First blood.
Come one, come all, my children of night, as we approach the hour of fright. With toe of toad and eye of newt, my sickly tricksy plan takes root. A raven's caw, a pigeon's coo, I'll summon the spookiest games to review. Games with pumpkins and monsters and creeping black cats. There's even games with vampire bats. You're still not scared, but we're not through. Stick around if you dare, for this is Halloween Games 2. The sequel, obviously.
Last October, I took a look at some spoopy Halloween games, and this year I plan to do much the same with Oh god, is that what my camera quality was like back then? Oh, it's disgusting! Now, I've got a whole Hessian sack full of spooky treats for you guys tonight, but first, I believe we have some unfinished business to attend to. If you recall last year, there was a particular subject that just kept cropping up throughout the video. How about a mod which turns pills into jars of candy corn? Candy corn, candy corn, candy corn. That's right, candy corn, the American Halloween delicacy that I've never had the pleasure of experiencing. But I figured, in honour of the season and to celebrate May Ray's 2-year anniversary, I should probably try some. I found a bag for sale online for a reasonable price, and you know what? I think I'm going to order it right now. There we go. Now I have Amazon Prime, so it shouldn't take too long. Well, that was fast. Oh, happy Halloween, ma'am. Here's your package. Ah, lovely. Thank you very much. Well, I'd just like to personally thank you for choosing UPS as your delivery service. You have a good night now, miss. I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. What an obscure reference. Huh. Well, now that we have the goods, let's get them open. And here it is, Brock's Candy Corn. You know, it really does seem like something you'd find at a 1910s travelling circus, along with a clown that makes police reports disappear. And so finally I actually have one of these things in my hand, and it does not have the texture I thought it would have. It's really soft. I thought it'd be like Skittles. Really... Oh. Hold on, that smells like mini eggs. Why do these smell like mini eggs? Are these chocolate? Well, here goes nothing. Yeah, they're alright. Yeah, they're very sweet. They're a lot softer than I thought. I thought they'd be like hard, like I say, Skittles, but no, they're very soft. I'm kind of getting like fudge almost. They're basically like fudge and caramel and yeah, I mean, they're all right, I suppose. But now that the formalities have been dispensed with, let's refocus and take a look at our first game of the night. Released in the year 1993, Haunting was developed by EA for the Sega Mega Drive. Or the Genesis, if you happen to be born wrong. You play as Poltergeist, a green ghost in a leather jacket who's hell-bent on scaring the Sardini family out of their home because... revenge or something? It's a game with an isometric viewpoint and honestly some pretty impressive graphics. Like, Poltergeist actually has some transparency when he floats in front of things. That's not something I think the Super Nintendo could do.
Ah, well, it's like they say, Genesis does
What Nintendo?
The 90s was stupid. Like I said, your goal is to haunt the family out of the house, but unfortunately, nobody can see you, so in order to actually scare them, you have to use your ghostly powers to possess things like toys, furniture, or power tools to get the job done. To possess items, or frightums, you simply have to press A when you see a coloured sparkle appear on them. The different colours indicate the various ways a frightum is used. Blue sparkles signify that it's a trap item that will lure a family member in before setting itself off. Green means it's a controllable object that you can move around the room, and orange are manually timed scares that you have to activate at the right moment when a victim is close. The aim is to scare a person enough times that their fear level turns from calm to very high, which will cause them to run out of the room. You keep doing this to every family member until they've all left the house screaming. There are a total of 4 members of the Sardini family: the father of the house Vito, his wife Flo, their son Tony, and their daughter, Wormtail apparently. Also, really game? The Sardini family with Vito and Tony? Ugh, come on guys. I haven't seen anything this stereotypically Italian since I found out the Mario Brothers had full names. The clock is your biggest enemy in this game. This green meter at the bottom of the screen represents your ecto level and will slowly run down over time. If it runs out completely, then you get sent to the dungeon, where you have to recollect enough ecto before you can return to the house, all while avoiding spooky hazards such as grabby arms, bats, and rolling skulls. Unlike any other part of the game, you actually have a health bar in these dungeon sections. This little portrait of Poltergeist will start to disappear as you take hits. If it disappears entirely, then it's game over. So I guess you're dead twice now?
Is that even possible? Well, hold on. Hey, Professor, is it possible to die twice?
That is an interesting hypothesis. Of course, I'll have to do a few experiments before I can get back to you with an answer.
Experiments? What sort of Professor, are you there?
Lord, he's dead!
We're just gonna put that as a no.
You can, however, replenish your ecto without having to go to the dungeon at all. When you scare someone out of a room, they'll drop small puddles of it wherever they were standing, and you just have to remember to collect it before you follow them out of the room. Which I forgot to do multiple times.
Whoops.
There are loads of everyday household objects to possess in this game, with some really creative and at times hilarious results. Such as these spooky trousers!
Cower in fear of my trousery aura.
Oh god! Yeah, this game can get kind of gory at times, and I know for a fact the Super Nintendo certainly didn't do that shit. They were a family console. Nintendo would never let something like this be released on it.
Ah well, it's like they say.
What Nintendo were at the time very morally against doing themselves.
The 90s was still stupid.
Once you get over the rather grisly nature of some of the scares, the animations themselves are extremely entertaining and are probably the main reason to actually play this game because, well, let's be honest, there's not exactly much else going on. Some of them are gross, some of them are funny, and some of them look like they were taken straight out of a cheesy 80s horror flick.
Hello, I'm Brock Kennedy for Channel 12 Local News. Our top story tonight:
I'm in your fucking house.
That said, I find the family doesn't really react to these things in the way a normal person would. Sure, they eventually run out of the house, but only after multiple creepy things happen. Now, if I saw a face staring at me from under my rug, I'd run the fuck out of the house in a heartbeat. But nah, this little girl, she's tough. She ain't giving in that easily. Good on you, sister. After you chase the Sardinis out of their home, level 2 begins with the same family in a different house. So you're basically just haunting the Sardinis over and over again. Man, Poltergeist must really want his revenge. In fairness to the game, it does change things up a little by adding new threats like a pet dog that reduces fear levels as well as hostile ghosts that drain your ectometer. These are all things that appear after you reach level 2, which I definitely got past, and I'm just not showing you footage of it because... Let's move on to the next game. Released earlier this year, Monster Prom is a spooky-themed dating sim set in a high school of Halloween creatures. However, unlike Hatoful Boyfriend, which we took a look at a few months ago, this isn't a fish-out-of-water story that sees you playing as an ordinary human being, oh no. Instead, you get to pick from 4 different monster avatars at the start of the game, including Nurgle from Billy and Mandy, Flame Princess, Shaun of the Dead, and the cutest option, which is obviously the one I'm going to pick. On top of being able to choose your character's looks and name, you also get to decide their gender, which is surprisingly not tied to the avatar you pick, but is instead freely up for the player to choose. Look, it's even represented by a pronoun option.
I didn't even have a joke for that, that's just awesome.
In Monster Prom, you have between 3 to 6 weeks to develop a relationship with your chosen love interest before asking them out to prom. The game divides each of these weeks as 3 individual turns, taking place in the morning, afternoon, and evening. During the morning and evening turns, you're able to go to any location throughout the school where you'll perform an activity and have a random encounter, whereas in the afternoon you have to attend lunch and get to decide which table you sit at, giving you more control over who you interact with. Eventually though, the game figures out who you're talking to most and will start to gear the random encounters more towards them. Now, who exactly you romance is determined by a few factors, namely of course player choice, but also the results of a personality quiz you take at the start. It's done in the style of a trashy teen magazine and features many of the typical questions you'd expect to see in those kinds of quizzes. What flavour of ice cream are you? What superpowers would you have? Which animal do you want to fuck? You know, standard stuff. The answers to these questions will help determine your in-game stats, which are displayed in the upper right-hand corner. While not mentioned outright at any point during gameplay, meeting certain stat requirements does increase your chance at achieving victory with some of your potential dates. There are 6 dateable monsters shown at the start of the game, with several secret characters placed throughout the school. There's Miranda, a slightly genocidal mermaid princess, a demon called Damien LaVey, because clever writing, Scott the lovable yet simple-minded werewolf, a hipster vampire called Liam, Polly the party-addicted ghost, and this bitch. But of course, securing a date for prom isn't just about numbers, and while your stats can be increased in-game, the best way of improving your chances with someone is by helping them out with their problems. Throughout the game, scenarios will occur where you're presented with the chance to either help or hinder certain characters. The answers aren't always obvious, so you really have to think about how a character might react to the options available. For example, Miranda here is complaining about how gross the bathrooms in the school are. Now I know she's fond of her home under the sea, so I suggest flooding the bathrooms of salt water to remedy the situation. This surprisingly works. In another game, Polly was about to be kidnapped by an interdimensional prince, so in order to save her, I told the prince that he had to defeat the school's dodgeball team in battle. He was swiftly knocked unconscious. And then there was the time when Damien needed my help hiding a dead body, so I just told him he could chuck it in with all of mine. Bizarre and absurd moments like these are commonplace in Monster Prom, and only accentuated by the well-written nature of the game's characters. Everyone has their own little quirks and unique personalities, and while they're all certainly monsters both in the physical and metaphorical sense, every character still has something to love about them. Except Vera. She's just shit. I doubt I need to bring it up since most of you probably have eyes, but the art style on display here is just plain awesome, and I love that the game features a gallery for you to view all of the art you've unlocked. It's super cool. Another aspect of the game's presentation I am in absolute love with is its soundtrack. Rather than bland and somewhat repetitive stock music like Hatoful Boyfriend used, Monster Prom features songs from a band called Messer Chups, who, I'll be honest, I'd never heard of before, but damn if I don't love this groovy shit now. The combination of surfer rock with samples taken from jazz, B-movies, and theremins is such a strange yet unique sound that it really helps define the game's personality. Unlike Hatoful Boyfriend, I feel like I have real choices to make in this game and that I'm actually in control of my character. It also doesn't hurt that the intro to Monster Prom isn't 10 fucking minutes long. I do hate to keep comparing these two games, but they are the only actual dating sims I've played so far, and I must say I think I've enjoyed Monster Prom a lot more than I did Hatoful Boyfriend. Now all they need to do is release some official Monster Prom body pillows and I'll pretty much be set. Playing Monster Prom was just a really enjoyable experience. It was cute, funny, and at times pretty heartfelt. The characters are written well enough that if you give them a chance, you can genuinely feel for most of them. And even if we didn't get the happy ending we wanted, we still had the time of our lives, because we were young and unafraid, and when it was all said and done, we were ready to start living, growing and improving ourselves, never forgetting the memories and friendships we made along the way. And in the end, that's what really matters most. Those were some crazy times, and with any luck, they'll be with us forever. No, hold on, let me just get rid of this. Well, that game left me feeling pretty emotional. So let's play some fucking trash. Deep down in the festering depths of Steam, I found a game that had been tragically overlooked by most, and it's known only as Reign of Pumpkins. It's 10 out of 10. Okay, but really, what the fuck is Reign of Pumpkins? The short answer, it's a bad game. The long answer is that it's a pumpkin-based collectathon with some of the worst controls I have ever had the misfortune of using. They're just so bad, I can't even really describe it. It sort of feels like you're using one of those trackball mouses, even though you're not. Also, you'll notice that my cursor is permanently on screen. I don't know if that was intentional, but it's there. Oh, and by the way, if that cursor happens to go off the edge of the screen, you start uncontrollably spinning in a circle.
Oh, I feel sick.
Alright, so what specifically do we have to do in this game? Well, down here in Skeleton Town, there are 3 different coloured chefs, and it's your job to collect pumpkins for them. Red pumpkins for the red chef, yellow for the yellow. It's fairly self-explanatory. You gotta watch out though, because the pumpkins will randomly explode with seemingly no warning, because game design? Don't worry though, you're well compensated for your trouble. After delivering enough pumpkins, the chefs reward you for your service with pies. Yes, pies. Which I guess are supposed to be tallied down here, but the game is so fucking incompetently made it's barely even on screen at all. The pies themselves act as a currency, allowing you to buy upgrades from the various stores in town. These include a shoe shop that makes you run faster, a gym that increases your strength, and a blacksmith that gives you a helmet that literally blocks a third of your damn vision. Why did I get this? So, essentially, this is the game. Running around a tiny skeleton village picking up multicolored exploding pumpkins while fighting against the utterly abysmal controls. I will say the one thing that the game has going for it is the aesthetics. I'll be fair to the developers, they nailed the look of Halloween pretty well, even if the moon is 38 times too big. There is more I could talk about with Reign of Pumpkins, like the horrendous input lag which gives you the stopping distance of a freight train, or the fact that there's a jump button with seemingly no use whatsoever, or even that the game is credited on Steam as being developed simply by Gary and Eddie. But the fact is, I paid £1.99 for this mistake, so I'm not going to spend any more time on it. Well, that was certainly an experience. Let's see, what's next? Overwatch? But Overwatch isn't a Halloween game. Or does it? No, that's not right. Or is it? Since its launch in 2016, Overwatch has become simultaneously one of my favourite and least favourite games to play. Now, to get the obvious question of who I main out of the way, well, that actually depends on the system. On the PS4, I mostly play as Roadhog with a bit of Zenyatta, Brigitte, and Junkrat. Whereas on the PC, it's pretty much all Junkrat.
Oh, what can I say? I love making shit explode.
Like many multiplayer games of today, Overwatch features special holiday events all throughout the year, with one of them being Halloween themed. During this time, it becomes possible to either find or purchase Halloween costumes for your heroes to wear. Some of them are really good, while others are... okay, you know what, fair enough, they're all good. But on top of the costumes, a new game mode was introduced in 2017 called Junkenstein's Revenge, and that's what we're here to take a look at. The basic premise is that your boy Junkrat has finally broken down entirely, become a mad scientist, and is trying to take over the world with his army of horrors. These include a patched-together Roadhog, a demonic Symmetra, and Reaper. It's a wave survival game mode where you and 3 other players have to fight off multiple waves of zombie robots with the occasional boss fight, similar in concept to Team Fortress 2's Man vs. Machine. You know, back when TF2 was good.
Unstoppable.
Unlike the regular modes in Overwatch, Junkenstein's Revenge doesn't allow you to pick from the entire roster of heroes, instead limiting your choices to just a handful of characters. You also can't change hero at any point during the game, so you really need to think carefully about who you pick. There are two versions of Junkenstein's Revenge, the normal game, which ends after you survive the time limit, and Endless mode, which is endless. On top of just trying to survive, your main objective is to protect the doors of the castle from being broken down. The best strategy I found was one sniper, aka always Widowmaker, a healer, and 2 DPS characters. Your mileage may vary, but I found this to be the most effective strategy for both staying alive and defending the objective. While playing, you'll probably notice the narration being provided by Reinhardt. He tells the story of your match as though it were an old spooky tale told around a campfire, referring to the heroes by mystical titles rather than their actual names. Zenyatta becomes the monk, McCree the gunslinger, and Soldier, well, he basically just stays the soldier to be honest. But the way the game presents the events of the match as they happened through Ryan's storytelling is actually really cool.
The ground shook as Dr. Junkenstein's creation was revealed.
There's not really a whole lot more to say about the gameplay itself. It's fast-paced, exciting, and feels rewarding when you win. It kinda just is a wave survival minigame with a spooky aesthetic. But that won't stop me from enjoying it. Come on, team! Dr. Junkenstein's right there! Let's go stop him before he... what? I don't think this is... Oh, fuck! Guys? Are you guys okay? I don't think this is supposed to happen. Whoa! Oh, shit. No, this isn't right. This is most assuredly not... Oh. Well, this doesn't look like it's reconnecting anytime soon, so let's just move on. For the past 2 Halloweens now, I've reviewed a Castlevania game, and this year is no exception. We've seen the first game and its mildly awkward jumping mechanics, and we've had fun with 4's multi-directional whipping. But this year, I say we take it a step further and dive into one of the most beloved entries into the Castlevania franchise. Symphony of the Night. Whoa. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a pretty big game. So let's start from the beginning. The main menu. That's usually a good place to start. Let's see here. We have File Select, Name Chance, File Keep. This font is fucking terrible. Now, as this is a PS1 title, it of course opens up with an FMV sequence. Journey back to 1792 and the Transylvanian countryside of Romania. Look, mate, I don't even like going to the shops to get milk, so you're already setting your expectations of me way too high. We then get a pretty cool shot of Dracula's castle from across a dark, misty lake, with Dracula's castle apparently being on loan from RuneScape. Oh, hold on, guys, I think you used the wrong music there. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Much better. So the first level is... Wait, what? The final stage? Well, that was easy. Okay, so it turns out Symphony of the Night begins with the final level of the previous game, Castlevania Dracula X, which as a side note is simultaneously the best and worst title for a game I've ever heard. But what it basically means is we walk about 15 steps and then have to fight Dracula.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
Oh. Yeah, this game is pretty infamous for its voice acting. It's certainly not the worst I've ever heard, but it can get pretty corny at times. Especially during this opening confrontation between Richter Belmont and Dracula. It just sounds like it was written in 5 minutes by an edgy 13-year-old.
You steal men's souls and make them your slaves!
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
And of course, the famous line itself.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you!
What does it even mean? As to be expected, this literal end-of-game boss fight is pretty tough, although it's not too bad since you can't actually die. If you run out of health, a little girl comes out and makes you invincible with her
Satanic power!
question mark? and it just becomes a matter of time before you beat Dracula and can begin Symphony of the Night proper. And by that I mean read a huge fucking wall of text.
What would a Castlevania game be without a massive text scroller? Oh yeah, it'd be the first one.
The prologue reveals we don't actually play as any of the Belmonts, but rather Dracula's own son, Count Alucard, who first appeared in the 1943 Universal film Son of Dracula. Thankfully, the game does not contain a sprite of an overweight Lon Chaney Jr., but instead depicts Alucard as a Targaryen. Anyhow, Alucard is on a mission to stop the resurrection of his father by— hey! That's my shit! I think death just mugged me. So just when you thought you'd figured everything out, the game goes and pulls a Force Unleashed on you. Twice. I suppose now would be a good time to explain how this game works. You see, unlike the previous entries we played, which were stage-based action platformers, Symphony of the Night is an honest-to-goodness RPG, with stats and everything. Look at all those numbers. This also means we have different weapons and armor. Well, had. As you saw, the Grim Reaper decided to nick all of our cool shit, so I guess we'll just have to punch skeletons to death for now. Another major change to the game is in its structure. Rather than simply having to get to the end of a level and maybe fight a boss, the entire game is set within a giant open-world map of Dracula's castle. In order to overcome some obstacles or barriers you'll run into, you'll need to obtain certain items or abilities that are located in various places throughout the castle and require a fair amount of exploration in order to find. The castle itself is filled with secret passageways, hidden items, and suddenly appearing boss rooms, and you're never really told exactly what you have to do or where you have to go. All of this can make playing the game feel quite daunting, and I'll be honest, I was completely lost at first. Literally, the moment the game gave me 2 alternate paths to choose from, I nearly considered giving up. I've lived a very sheltered life. However, you do have an in-game map to help with navigation, and the castle is also peppered with save points and teleportation rooms just to make things a little bit easier. But of course, not everything in this game is different. Sub-weapons return, and yes, the axe is still as annoying as ever, but at the very least they now allow you to take back your previous weapon if you didn't mean to pick up a new one. The knife is still by far the best option though. Always go for the knife. The flying Medusa heads are also still here, but now they come in 2 flavors. Regular and lemon hatred. Speaking of enemies, I am noticing just a concerning amount of skeletons, just a statistically puzzling ratio of skeleton to non-skeleton personnel. There's even a guy that's just a giant floating skull.
Although, fun fact about that guy, our very own Mr. Bones was the one who actually modelled for him way back in the 90s. So, yeah, that's his claim to fame.
The game looks absolutely fantastic. The sprite work is gorgeous and the castle's atmosphere is suitably dark and eerie, though the graphics were apparently a small source of controversy for some. When it came out in 1997, many other games were starting to go to 3D. This clipping from a gaming magazine shows that not everybody was happy with Symphony of the Night's refusal to delve deeper into the third dimension, claiming that the game looked dull and flat compared to the 3D installment of Castlevania that had released on the Nintendo 64.
Castlevania 64, eh?
Foreshadowing.
Well, I don't really have time to look at it right now, so we'll do it next year.
5 shadows.
That's not even a proper word!
Another new feature in this game is the addition of spells, which you perform by inputting very specific button combinations. They're a little bit too much like combos in a fighting game for my liking, but I did at least manage to master a few of them to give me an edge in battle. However, I think the biggest takeaway I got from Symphony of the Night was the amazing sense of progression it had. It wasn't just because I saw that I was leveling up, I actually felt it. I got stronger and gradually started dealing more damage. Through exploration I found new items and gained new abilities like transformations, which themselves unlock even more areas of the castle for me to explore. Using both patience and wit, solving puzzles in the game rewarded me with upgraded weapons and armor. Every time I conquered a part of the castle, despite it never directly telling me so, I knew I was making progress. That was, however, until the final boss fight. I had until that point considered myself somewhat decent at the game, by no means a master, but certainly at the very least competent with the game's mechanics, Wait, no, don't show that. The final boss of the game, rather bizarrely, is Richter Belmont. Now you'd think maybe it was because Richter mistakenly assumed that Alucard was here to resurrect his father, but no. No, in actuality, it was Richter who started this whole thing. He wants to bring Dracula back. Why? I'll let him explain.
Count Dracula rises but once every century, and my role is over. If I can resurrect him, then the battle will last for eternity.
That is, without a doubt, the worst excuse for a heel turn I have ever heard.
So what, you're just upset you don't get to kill Dracula anymore, so you're going to risk the lives of thousands of innocent people just so you can feel the thrill of it again? Holy fuck, this is a midlife crisis, isn't it? Whatever it is, it's caused Richter Belmont to be almost completely impossible for me to beat. What you're seeing here is my entire first attempt at fighting him. I am trying my hardest here, but it's just not good enough. I'm not good enough. I figured maybe the problem was that I was still too weak. After all, this game isn't linear, it's entirely possible I just wasn't ready for him. So I returned to exploring the castle, fighting my way through the hordes of evil, leveling up, getting new gear, and preparing properly for the fight of my... Ah, for fuck's sake! I have to admit, eventually I needed some help for this part. I just wasn't good enough at the game to get it done on my own.
And I'd like to personally thank Mr. Bones for helping me with this difficult part of the game. I couldn't have done it without him.
Once Belmont is defeated, we see Dracula's castle dissolve into the sky, and Alucard says some sad stuff and goes off to open a casino in Vegas. But honestly, I don't think this is it. There were many aspects of the story left unresolved. Now, who was this Maria woman that I kept running into? What were Richter's real motivations? And why is the currency in this game dollars when we're clearly not in America? Well, it turns out I simply got the bad ending. There is a whole lot more to this game than I experienced in my playthrough, and I am honestly very eager to revisit Symphony of the Night to hopefully get a more satisfying ending. But that isn't gonna be tonight. This video is long enough as it is, even for a Halloween special. We played a lot of games tonight, and each of them, yes, even Reign of Pumpkins, just reminded me more of why I love Halloween. It's silly, it's spooky, and sometimes it's a bit rubbish, but it's still one of my favourite times of the year. And I'm so glad you could all join me for it once again.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. As they say in the old country, hey up, Chuck. Which roughly translates to thank you all for watching my Halloween special, and I hope you all have a happy Halloween and remember to be kind and have fun. But before I go, I'd just like to give a little bit of a shout out to Lady K's Magewares on Etsy for this fantastic witch hat she made me. I'll leave a link in the description to her Etsy store and you can go and check out all the awesome stuff she has on offer. But anyway, if you like this video, please remember to give it a like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends. I've been Mayray, and I'll see you all next time. Boo!
Thanks for watching, everybody. This video was sponsored by Oven Hand. Do you like ovens? Do you need hands? Well, boy, do we have the Oven Hand for you. The Oven Hand is a sleek, sophisticated, and portable glove that can slide directly into your oven. You can steak. You can hamburg. Why not even baby? Visit www.handintheoven.co.m for more information. The Oven Hand. You'll get yours, you will.
That's right, candy corn, the American Halloween delicacy that I've never had the experience of pleasuring. Ugh.
First blood.
A spooky greetings to you all, my children of the night, as we once again approach this hour of fright. Old Hallows Eve is upon us, and we've so much to do. Just you wait and see what spooky things I've got in store for you. Tonight we'll see witches and vampires and ghosts long since dead. There's even a mummy who throws his own head. All this and more, such horrors you'll see. So stick around if you dare, for this is Halloween Games 3. Hello everybody and welcome to my annual spooktacular event, Halloween Games, where I play a series of video games that I feel best fit the Halloween season. Remember, these aren't horror games, they're Halloween games. It's the name of the series. Now this video may end up being a little bit late, for which I apologise. But since the late great Tumblr basically said that Halloween is 24/7 anyway, I don't think anybody cares. Now let's not waste any more time as we take a look at our first game of the evening. The hell was that? Hold on.
Oh, sweet Jesus! Health and safety guy, what are you doing in the closet? Because I swear if this is some sort of an elaborate gay joke, I'm gonna do something unsafe to you.
Oh, what joke? No.
So what's your excuse this time?
Well, you know, I was just making sure that everything was safe and up to code in there. No one to check for monsters, of course.
Yeah, wait, monsters?
Yeah, well, you know, it is Halloween after all. There could be all sorts of things in there. Ghosts, goblins, politicians. You can never be too careful.
Okay, you're gonna have to leave my house now.
Well, no, not yet. I've still got the rest of this closet and under your bed to check.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to sound like you had a choice in the matter.
What? Wait, no!
Wait a minute. I just realized I have absolutely no idea where I just sent him. Oh well. Last year, as has become tradition for this series, I took a look at a Castlevania game. It was Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it was pretty fantastic. Probably my favourite game in the series so far. However, you may also remember that I sort of made a promise to play a certain other Castlevania game. Castlevania 64, eh?
Foreshadowing.
I don't really have time to look at it right now, so we'll do it next year. That's not even a proper word! And what kind of a witch would I be if I didn't keep my promises? So, as I said I would last year, let's take a look at the first 3D installment of the franchise in Castlevania 64. Officially, of course, the game is not actually called Castlevania 64, but rather just simply Castlevania. The 64 suffix was adopted by fans in order to help differentiate it from the other games in this series called Castlevania, namely Castlevania. The game opens up, as most early 3D games did, with what would have at the time been a very impressive shot of a fully rendered castle. Gotta show off them new 3D graphics, I suppose. Good god, that moon is huge. We then fade into a fancily dressed man playing some sad violin music. Because this is what I think of when I hear Castlevania. Oh, hey, do you take requests? Give me Vivaldi, 4 Seasons. Now give me something by Mozart. Now do Shinsuke Nakamura's theme! Unlike any previous Castlevanias that I've played, this game features 2 playable characters for you to choose from. A young girl with blue hair called Carrie, and
Reinhardt at your service!
The main difference between the 2 characters, as far as I could tell, is that Reinhardt uses the Belmont Whip, whereas Carrie uses magic. I decided to go with Reinhardt for this because, well, he's never let my team down before, so I'm sure he won't tonight. But oh no, what a twist. The game menu was actually the Necronomicon this whole time, with the
Russian eagle on it for some reason? Oh, good. And of course, what would a Castlevania game be without a big, long fucking prologue that no one gives a single shit about?
The province of Wallachia.
So that's how we're pronouncing that now. Reinhard arrives in the Forest of Silence and makes his way to the shit. Okay, maybe this game is a bit too scary for Halloween games. Sheesh, okay, I get it. You're overdoing it a bit now, game. As this is Castlevania, I decide to whip the first breakable thing I see, and ooh, a red gem. Let me just... Why won't it... Why can't I just pick it up? Battle view? What the fuck is... This is going to be one of those kinds of games, isn't it? Oh, okay. So it's right on the C-pad to pick things up. That's really fucking stupid, but okay. We then come across a small collection of dead bodies, one of which seems to be so decomposed it's now nothing but bones. And as Reinhard is busy examining one of the more befleshed corpses, he hears a noise behind him, and turns around to find a gang of
Spooky, scary skeletons.
It's here we get our first taste of the combat in Castlevania 64, and boy, I have to tell you, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Your main weapon, naturally, is the whip. It's super powerful, taking out most enemies in one hit, and it actually auto-locks, saving you the tedious task of aiming or locking on yourself. The problem with that is it's very keen on ignoring the direction you're looking in and just going after whichever enemy it happens to feel like, which can be a bit annoying at times. But you're not just limited to the whip, you also have a short sword, which frankly is completely useless as it's so short that in order for it to actually hit, you have to get so close to them that you may as well give them a goodnight kiss while you're there. That and its damage is utterly pitiful compared to the long-ranged whip. The only benefit it really provides is that you can use it while moving, but when you can just licorice whip bastards from 20 feet away, what's the point? Sub-weapons return, and surprisingly the knife isn't very good this time around. I couldn't personally get on with it anyway. The best sub-weapon in this game is clearly the cross, as it homes in on enemies and actually hits multiple targets with each throw. Speaking of sub-weapons, remember how in all the previous titles we played, sub-weapons were powered by hearts? They acted as a sort of ammunition for whatever weapon you had in that slot. Well, in this game, they're powered by red gems, which are equally as nonsensical, so points for consistency, I guess? Overall, the combat in this game is okay. It's passable, but isn't necessarily very fun. And it's not that it lacks depth, there's side steps, back jumps, slide attacks, but it's just that I never actually found a practical or fun use for any of those things. If you remember the review I referenced last year, their main selling point was how much better this game looked compared to Symphony of the Night, which... yeah, no, but I have to say I don't hate these graphics. Maybe it's just my nostalgia for this era of gaming, but I do think that the game has some charm when it comes to how it looks. It certainly would have spooked me as a kid, and I've got to give it credit there. What I don't have any credit for is the camera. To be fair, most early 3D games had crap cameras. It was a brand new concept for a lot of developers, so of course there was going to be some trial and error. But man, this sucks. Rather than letting you control the camera manually, which to be fair would have been quite impossible with the N64's ludicrous controller layout, the game has 3 different view modes that you swap between: battle view, normal view, and action view. Frankly, I just want to know where the good view is. Oh, that was fucking terrible. I suppose you could argue that having a stiff camera makes the game more scary. It's true, having less control over what you can see certainly does ramp up the tension and suspense of a situation, but so does stripping naked in church and challenging the vicar to a fight. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. I've also noticed this game doesn't really have much going on in the audio department apart from ambience and sound effects. Ah, no, I see what happened. They ran out of time and weren't able to compose any music for the game, so they just left it silent and called it atmospheric. Alright, do you remember last year when I joked about how a lot of the enemies in Symphony of the Night were skeletons? Well, that's nothing compared to 64 because they are all skeletons. We got stabby skeletons, crawly skeletons, explodey skeletons, giant skeletons. With the exception of Tiger Mask and a wolf dude, every single enemy I've encountered has been some form of skeleton. They don't even look different most of the time. It's just the same old bland as vanilla Skyrim, unarmored, uninteresting, naked as the day they were boned skeletons. And they never stop. They just keep coming. You can't even pause to think because here they come. More of them skelly boys. Now that is not to say that I have a problem with skeletons in video games.
I don't, so don't put words into my mouth. I am just sick and tired of the SJWs trying to force their political propaganda down our throats. I mean, why can't games just be fun?
There are areas in this game where platforming is key, and if you miss a jump, you die instantly. So why, if that's the case, is the jumping so unacceptably bad? You have 0 in-air control, and while no, on the surface, I don't think it's as bad as the first Castlevania's jumping. That game was in 2D, so its shittiness was at least relegated to just 2 dimensions. This fuckery is bad in height, width, and depth. There's also a ledge hanging mechanic that I didn't really get at first. See, you have to be holding the jump button in order to stay held on. If you let go of the button, you let go of the ledge. And that's not necessarily an awful mechanic, but it would have been nice if the game could tell me its terrible controls before expecting me to use them. And I'm sorry, this has just been bothering me the whole game. Why do I have to stop to pick things up? I understand maybe for sub-weapons, as accidentally picking up one you didn't want was annoying in previous games, but why not just limit it to sub-weapons and let me pick up gems and other items by just walking over them? This isn't bloody Red Dead Redemption 2, it's Castlevania. I'm gonna be honest with you all here. I couldn't really get on with this game at all. And to tell you the truth, I didn't even make it through level 1. I simply lost my patience with it. These jumps fucking suck. The level is huge and confusing, the enemies are frankly annoying, and combat just isn't fun or satisfying to do. So it looks like I'll have to leave it here.
Oh, come on now.
Jesus!
You can't be serious. Giving up before you've even beaten the first level?
How the fuck did you get back into my house?
Oh, you, teleported me back into the closet.
Oh.
Now what's all this about you not even beating stage 1?
I have lost my patience with this piece of shit game. It is just the opposite of fun.
Well, that may be. But the Mayro I know would never give in that easily. She'd stick it out through thick and thin. She'd never let her game's terribleness get in the way of her duty to play it for all the people at home. Now, it may seem tough, and you may just want to give up. But I know you. And I know that you'll do the right thing and keep playing.
Thank you for your opinion.
No, you just put me back in the closet again.
God fucking damn it!
So, yeah, sorry to anyone who was excited to see me get far in this game, I just couldn't really do it. I'll make sure I punish myself for this next year, but for now, let's move on to our next game. Released in 1991 for the Sega Mega Drive, Decap Attack is a side-scrolling action platformer developed by Vic Tokai, whoever the fuck they are. The game takes place on Skeleton Island, which has been broken apart by the evil Max Decap as his underworld armies take a hold of the surface in what is probably the most literal interpretation of divide and conquer that I've ever seen. You play as Chuck, full name Chuck DeHead, who is summoned by his creator Dr. Frank N. Stein and his assistant Igor as the only hope left to save the world. The first thing you'll notice about this game is the incredibly awesome soundtrack. I've got nothing really to add, this game just has awesome music. It's good. Good job, guys. You get a tenner. The second thing you'll notice is the slightly odd design of Chuck himself. He's a mummy, that's for sure, but he doesn't seem to have a head, rather a pair of eyes located in the middle of his torso. And if you press the B button, this happens. That's rather unpleasant. This is Chuck's main form of attack, a sort of headbutt face punch type maneuver, and it seems to kill most non-boss enemies in one shot. You also have the ability to Goomba stomp enemies into the ground. They don't always go down in one stomp though, so you really gotta smoosh them in sometimes. There we go. Chuck's physics are a little bit difficult to work with at first, but once you get used to them, you realize they're actually quite fun and intuitive. Your movement has a lot of weight to it. You build up momentum as you walk, run, and jump throughout the level. You have to be careful though, as Chuck's momentum can actually carry him right into an enemy if he rushes into things. He also has the ability to hover? If you press jump while in midair, you briefly maintain your current elevation while still being able to move left or right. This can be done multiple times in a row, allowing Chuck to get some serious airtime. Now, jumping in Decap Attack is achieved by pressing not the A button, not the B button, but the C button, because the Mega Drive controller was conceived in an alternate universe. If you hit the A button, you're taken to a menu listing all of the items you've collected during your adventures in the Skell Archipelago. Highlighting each item allows you to either use it or ask about it, with Igor and Dr. Frank Stein giving you a short, simple explanation for what each item does. You got screen wipes, invincibility, time stop, speed increase, all the power-ups a growing boy needs. I really like that power-ups aren't just immediate use things, and you get to hold on to them for when you really need to use them. The problem with that is that I am a hoarder and I will never actually use these items in case I need them later. The one exception to this mechanic is the skull. While traversing through a level, you can sometimes come across a skull, which Chuck likes to use as a head because he ain't got one. And it's not just for show. If you have the skull equipped, you can throw it as a weapon. Once thrown, it does immediate damage to whatever it touches, and then like a boomerang, it returns back to you, dealing damage to whatever enemy it hits on its way. Timing a throw just right so you can hit stuff on the return is so satisfying. It's actually one of my favorite things to do in this game. Sadly, the skull will disappear if you take a hit, and then you have to go and find it again. But while you have it equipped, the skull is an essential item to have, as it gives you a lot more options when it comes to combat, and is frankly just a lot of fun to use. The game is divided up into worlds, represented by each of these islands shown at the start of the game. They all have clever little body part related names like Abdomen Land, Elbow Island, Armington. It's honestly pretty dumb, but still somewhat charming. Which coincidentally is how most people describe my channel. When you beat a world, the island returns to the center of the map where it originally came from, which I find is a great visual aid to let you know how much progress you've made and how much is left to do. Beating a stage is as simple as finding the exit, which is easier said than done. Rather than go for a straightforward left to right flat level structure, Decap Attack is pretty varied when it comes to its stage design. You got left to right to left, up, down, you name it. Even a basic left to right level isn't always so easy to navigate. With platforms, walls, underground sections, it's never just a simple stroll in a single direction. Now this is how I initially believed the game worked. You find the exit, go through it, and boom, level beat. However, while trying to exit one particular level, I was stopped by Dr. Stein and Igor, who told me that I didn't find the most important item and therefore couldn't finish the level. I was given no specifics about this item other than the fact it was the most important one, and this is literally the first time I'm ever hearing of it. Look, I don't have a problem with a secondary objective. That's fine. But maybe you could have, told me? Maybe the original manual said something about this? I don't know. In any case, apparently I now had to go and find some important item. I went back through the level, breaking open every statue I saw until I found, something? No idea what, but there we go, guess I can leave now. That was weird. While on the subject of weird things, I get that this is a spooky themed game and all, so weirdness is to be expected, but I gotta ask, why does everything explode into bones when it dies? These things? Sure, they look like they could have bones in them. Werewolves? Absolutely, scientifically proven to be full of bones. Skeleton fish? Well, frankly, if you need me to justify that one to you, I'm not sure I can help you. But honestly now, a jellyfish? I'm pretty sure they don't got bones. And that's a ghost! That is literally the most not having bones one out of all of them! Unless that's not actually a real ghost and is instead just a kid in a costume, which if that's the case... Oh, Chuck, you're going to prison for a long time. One thing I love about this game is how the enemies are all distinct and easily recognizable by both their designs as well as their individual behaviors. They all look different enough and behave in their own unique ways that there's no chance of mistaking one kind of enemy for another. They also get bonus points for not making every single enemy a skeleton. You got these dudes, fish boys, bird lads, furries. Hey, that plant with lips looks kind of familiar, but God, I just cannot place exactly where I've seen it before.
Feed me!
Seymour.
Also, that's just a Mario Bros. Spiny shell with... Oh, I didn't need to see that. Now, I gotta tell you about the bosses in this game, because they are just... Oh, what the fuck is that?
Jesus Christ, it's disgusting. Is that racist? I think that's racist. Can we get a censor on that, please?
There we fucking go. I'd like to personally apologize to the, 14 separate cultures we just insulted by showing that thing. Jesus Christ. Aside from that, there's not really much else to talk about with this one. Oh, except for the weird mini-game you get to play whenever you beat a world. You spend coins on a bunch of mini-chucks and see which bonus items they land on. It's pretty weird, and I think it technically counts as gambling, so nobody tell Jim Sterling about this. He's had a hard enough time of it as it is, and I think it's starting to affect his mental health. Decamp Attack, starring Chuck DeHead, is a pretty awesome game. It looks nice, is satisfying to play, has great music, and is generally an all-around enjoyable experience. Even if the names are a bit naff. I mean, Dr. Frankenstein? How many people did it take to come up with that one then? I mean, Jesus. That name makes Professor Frank Victorstein sound like an original and creatively developed character, for Pete's sake. There's no skit here. He isn't coming back. He's very dead. So far in this video, we've looked at 2 retro experiences from the past. Well, I say it's time we take a look at something a bit more modern. Witch It was developed by Barrel Roll Games and published by Daedalic Entertainment in 2017. It's an online multiplayer hide-and-seek game pitting a team of peasants against a team of witches. A round will start with the team of peasants, or hunters, locked inside a room while the opposing team of witches find their hiding spots. After a short time, the hunters will be released and have to find and kill all of the witches before time runs out. The game is very reminiscent of the Garry's Mod Prop Hunt game mode, with the witches having the ability to transform into any item they find, no matter how large or small, to help blend into their environment. But that's not all. If a witch finds themselves in a sticky situation, they'll have a few tricks up their sleeves. One of the powers available to a witch is the ability to create decoy props. Said props are randomly chosen and could be controlled for a few seconds before disappearing, and boy, I gotta say, nothing compares to the feeling of smug satisfaction you get when you make somebody chase after one of your decoys.
You fool.
The witches are small, fast, and can fly for short periods of time. They also have absolutely no offensive capabilities and have no choice but to hide from the enemy. I mean, what do you think this is? Call of Duty Salem Witch Trials? Hit me up, Activision. Hunters, on the other hand, are large, fat, and slow, but possess a grappling hook that, frankly, would give Link's hookshot a run for its money. At least when you aim it right and aren't bad at the game like I am. The hunter's job is to find and kill witches, and how do you do that? By throwing potatoes at everything you see, of course. Makes sense to me. You also have a melee attack, but being a hunter isn't all randomly attacking every barrel and hay bale you come across, for you see there is a method to the madness. Tips, tricks, and tools at your disposal to ensure that you become the most effective Witchfinder General you can be. Firstly, you have access to a chicken. When thrown, it acts as a witch detector and will sound off if a witch is within a close proximity. Using this to effectively patrol the map saves you a lot of time and makes your job as a hunter much easier. Plus, the more that you mess up a map looking for witches, the harder it becomes to really notice if anything looks out of place because, well, everything's a fucking mess. So learning to strategically search for witches without causing too much chaos in the environment is a must for any hunter worth his weight in salt. And let me tell you, that is a lot of salt! There's also a number of additional abilities for both teams to unlock. The witches get a spawnable mushroom trap that when stepped in messes with both a hunter's vision and their controls, while the hunters can unlock the bomb bash! So there's always different ways you can play this game depending on which abilities you have selected. Now I have simply got to talk about this game's amazing aesthetic. Because I mean, holy shit, I am absolutely in love with how this game looks. Everything is low poly with pixelated textures, but it's done in such a way that it almost mimics a classic PlayStation game, only with it being rendered in a higher resolution and featuring modern lighting technology. it's gorgeous. I love this style so much because, goddammit, we've seen enough retro-inspired modern games that use the style of 8-bit or 16-bit or whatever bit Undertale was going for. And it's just so refreshing to see something like this try to recapture the look and feel of a game from the PS1 N64 generation, while also taking advantage of modern jiggle physics. One thing that I feel helps highlight the art style of this game is the many varied and well-designed maps it has. You'd think a game like this would exclusively feature spooky medieval towns, but you'd be wrong. Witch It features a wide array of maps across all kinds of different themes. You've of course got your spooky Halloween villages and your medieval towns, but there's also snowy hamlets, pirate ships, tropical islands, libraries, and strangely nothing actually feels out of place, which I feel is a testament to how good the art direction in this game is. On a side note, I love the inclusion of bounce pads. Along with a grappling hook, these make getting around the map so much more convenient, and I think they're just a great addition, especially on stages with higher levels of elevation. One aspect of the game that honestly I wasn't even expecting to be a thing was character customization. In Witch It, you have the ability to change the hairstyle, hats, tops, legs, and skin colors of both your hunter and witch. Although you initially start with nothing to customize with, getting stuff is surprisingly easy. You receive cosmetic items as rewards for playing well in online games. However, you can also craft them by combining ingredients, which you also earn from playing the game, into special potions. The item you end up receiving is always random, but you can decide what type of item it is, which team it's for, and even the rarity depending on what ingredients you have available. You're even able to break down unwanted items back into raw ingredients, albeit at a slight loss in order to maintain balance, and as far as I can tell, there's no real monetization involved in this entire process. Which, given what the modern gaming industry is like now, I'm genuinely surprised by. I always love character customization in games. It just feels good to be able to tweak your player to look just the way you want them to. And I mean, I love my little witch. She's a disaster, just like me. However, as much as I have praised this game, there are some issues that I have with it, namely, performance issues. At first I thought it was just problems with my internet, like we had last year, but no, this doesn't feel like a connection issue. Something is up. Why is the game running so badly? Turning down all the graphics settings didn't help at all, and oh Jesus, it's getting worse. So the game just runs horribly sometimes, and it seems to be that the longer Witch It is open, the worse it plays. Which, if I was technically minded, I would say sounds like memory leakage from poor programming. But since I'm not, I'm just gonna blame it on ghosts in my blood. So, performance issues aside, I really like Witch It. It's a very simple game, but I could imagine that if you played it with friends, it could be a real blast. But I kinda can't overlook the fact the game stops working after you play a few rounds and requires a restart in order to function properly again. Not to mention there were a number of other weird glitches I encountered, like, why can't I see my witch in third person? Tutorial videos from within the game itself show me being able to, but I can't? It works for the hunter, so why not the witch? It just seems odd to me, and the game has been out since 2017, so you'd think issues like this wouldn't be a problem. So if it weren't for those kinda huge issues, then yeah, I'd say Witch It was an excellent game, and providing that those issues are fixed, I'd love to play it again sometime. Keeping with modern games, let's turn our attention to a title that might have a few of you scratching your head, with the recently released WWE 2K20.
Please, don't turn off the video, I swear I have a good reason for this.
For you see, it is not the base game that we're going to be looking at tonight. Which is good because I don't have all day. But rather, we're going to be taking a look at the game's pre-order bonus, WWE Originals Bump in the Night. Now, the WWE games have always released in October, but this year they finally realised, hey, that's the month with Halloween in it. We should probably do something Halloweeny this time. And something Halloweeny they did. The Bump in the Night pack includes a series of mini-campaigns, or towers as the game calls them, all of which are spookily themed and feature some cool Halloweeny twists to some of your favourite WWE superstars and Randy Orton. The main tower of the pack, titled The Demon Within, chronicles the tale of Finn Balor, who was kidnapped by the Swamp Father Bray Wyatt in an effort to make Finn release his inner demon and hopefully join the Wyatt family. I love that they actually give you these little dialogue cutscenes. Although there's no voice acting, which is a little disappointing, there's still a nice addition that helps get across the story. even if they do make the game look like a weird dating sim. You compete in matches against a series of spooked up WWE superstars with specific objectives you have to complete listed in the corner. These objectives are usually things like land 10 strikes in the ring, perform a certain move to a certain superstar, or my personal favourite, just damage the fucker. As the story progresses, Finn takes on tougher and tougher opponents, eventually culminating in him achieving his true form as the Demon and challenging Bray Wyatt's monster, and in the end, Bray himself. Firstly, I gotta say, I love these Halloweenified versions of the WWE superstars. Frank and Strowman is just a masterpiece to behold, and honestly, do I even need to talk about Demon Finn? I mean, just look at it. Just fucking look at it! Secondly, I just have to give my respects to the effort that's been gone through for the presentation in this mode. The Swamp Arena is great, and its atmosphere and eerie silence is fantastic. And what makes it all the better is Bray Wyatt actually providing commentary for your matches.
I can only wonder what type of dark force powers the monster. What is within that broken body that keeps it going under the demon's assault?
Oh, it's like he's in the room with you.
However, if I had to point out some issues I had with this tower, it would probably be that fucking Bludgeon Brothers fight. Why was this so hard? Oh, I know why. Because it was a handicap match. Okay, that's fine. 2-on-1, I could see us maybe building to that eventually, but this is the second goddamn match. I haven't prepared for this. At first you think, oh, it's not so bad, I'm keeping them at bay, but then you run out of reversals, and guess what? They haven't. So now you're just getting pummeled into the dirt and you can't do shit about it because you're waiting for your reversals to come back, and when you finally catch a break and get some offense in on one of them, the other bastard just decks you from behind. Oh, and do tell me, how is this fair?
This should be the end. 2. Incredible. He's going for a pin. Is this the end? 3.
The Bump in the Night pack features several other towers for you to go through, including one where you play as a zombie Sasha Banks, with many of these matches having special status effects applied to them, such as lower damage, no HUD, or my favourite, speed increase. Look at them go! This one strangely reminds me of how the old SmackDown games on PS1 used to play. Ah, what simpler times. No, don't show that! Another tower is basically just a giant Shaun of the Dead parody, with Sheamus taking on a collection of zombified WWE superstars in an abandoned arena. The arena itself is actually pretty cool. It's simple, but it does what it needs to, though I must say I think it would have been a bit better had there maybe been a few zombies in the crowd. Not a huge horde or anything, just a couple scattered here or there. Much like in The Demon Within, this mode also contains special commentary, which honestly wasn't something they needed to do, but is a touch that I really appreciate.
It's hard to watch this and think back to,
before Cassius became a zombie?
Well, and nearly everyone else, yes. Sami Zayn has had quite a bit of success during his time with WWE, NXT champion, memorable feuds, returning from injury.
Yeah, you think he'll come back from this injury?
In a manner of speaking, he already did. Robert Roode has been one of the most successful call-ups from NXT, holding multiple titles.
Does that even matter now, Cole? Like, what are we even doing here? The place is full of zombies. He's got a point, Michael.
Actually, that's a good point. There's been a zombie outbreak. Why are you still on commentary? Seriously, guys, I'm pretty sure I saw whatever was left of Vince McMahon eating Pat Patterson's leg in a parking lot. I don't think you're getting paid for this. One of the main selling points of this pre-order bonus was the inclusion of Bray Wyatt's Fiend gimmick, which was, at the time, the hottest thing in pro wrestling. You know, before they ruined it at Hell in a Cell. The Fiend also gets his own campaign as he faces a variety of WWE superstars and legends in a spooky graveyard, using everything at his disposal from hitting people with gravestones to sealing their souls inside of an ancient tome. One of the more interesting aspects of the Fiend's inclusion is that usually the cutoff date for being included in this game is WrestleMania, but the Fiend didn't debut until SummerSlam. So how on earth did he manage to get into this game? Now, I don't know about you, but I feel as though there might be some sort of supernatural explanation.
This is the part where I would do a bit in the Bray Wyatt Fiend mask, but it's 40 quid.
On top of these spooky wrestlers and creepy arenas, the pack also includes several Halloween-themed weapons, entrance animations, and even new moves to unlock, including zombie bites, venom spits, and this really cool uppercut that, frankly, looks like it was taken out of Street Fighter.
So you can...
But, of course, I can't really ignore the elephant in the room. Especially when that elephant is clipping through the ceiling and half of his textures are missing. Yes, WWE 2K20 is somewhat infamous for its, shall we say, less than perfect review scores. This is mainly due to the game featuring numerous bugs and glitches at launch, and I'd love to say that a patch has already fixed most of those issues, but no. No, it has not. However, personally, I haven't had my time playing this game ruined by glitches. Not much of it anyway, but these are just things to keep in mind. Hopefully these can be fixed because in spite of all this, I still love the bump in the night pack. The content it adds just hits all the right spooky notes for me, and I hope that going forward, the WWE games lean more into this direction. Because Lord knows nobody wants to play the My Career mode this year.
I'm gonna take that marker, bring it to your grandmother's nursing home, and cross out parts of her chart so when the nurse goes to give her turn-down service, she won't know to flip her over. That's right, I'm gonna give your grandmother bed sores.
Just stop. You aren't allowed to use words anymore. That kid is floating. His leg is clipping through the chair and he's floating. Why is everybody in the hall staring at us? Even the people outside the window. Stop doing things! And so for our final game of the evening... Fuck it, it's Luigi's Mansion. Released as a launch title for the Nintendo GameCube in 2001, Luigi's Mansion is often touted as the first solo outing of Mario's younger brother. However, as we discovered many moons ago, that isn't exactly true. But it's probably for the best if we choose not to remember Mario is missing. That worked for me! While not considered the best game on the system, Luigi's Mansion is still regarded as something of a classic by its fans. And with the recent release of its sequel, Luigi's Mansion 3, I figured this was the perfect time to take a look at the original. Hey, wait a minute. Luigi's Mansion 3? What happened to Luigi's Mansion 2? Oh, it was on the 3DS. Well, I guess I must have missed that one. Probably because I never actually owned a 3DS.
What's wrong with you?
Oh, I don't know, Reggie. Do you want to start with my physical ailments, or should we just dive straight into the mental ones? Yeah, that's what I thought. The game opens with Luigi walking through a creepy forest at night. He's on his way to his brand new mansion, which he won in a contest that he didn't even enter. Stay tuned for Nintendo's next game, where Luigi receives an email from a Nigerian prince. After entering the seemingly abandoned mansion, Luigi explores his surroundings and discovers that every single door is locked. Just then, he sees a strange orange shape floating above him. It drops a key on the ground and then flies up the stairs and into one of the rooms. Now, despite it being a fucking terrible idea, Luigi decides to pick up the key and follow the strange Cheeto vapor into the room. But oh no, that ghost you followed turned out to be a ghost. Luigi is doomed. Or at least he would be until... Ghostbusters! This is Professor E. Gadd, a ghost hunter and inventor who, after saving Luigi's life from that ghost, takes him back to his creepy shed where he explains what's going on. It's revealed that the mansion Luigi had entered wasn't even real and had in fact only appeared a couple days ago. This would be disturbing enough, but Egad then reveals to Luigi that he saw his brother Mario enter the mansion, only for him to never return. And so it looks like it's up to us to save him again. Sorry, I'm just getting flashbacks to Mario is missing. Look, as long as I don't have to answer any questions about geography, I'm good. Of course, Luigi can't do much to save Mario if he's defenseless against the armies of ghosts that await him in the mansion. So Professor Egad decides to give him his trusty Poltergust 3000, a device he invented for sucking up ghosts. After showing us how it works, it's time to get back to the mansion and start sucking up some ghosts, and hopefully find out what happened to Mario. When we return to the foyer, we find Toad. What's up, Toad?
Wow, it's Luigi! You finally made it! Oh joy! Princess Peach asked me to come and look for Mario! He left when he heard you won a mansion, and he never returned!
Okay, that's enough of that voice. Once you speak to Toad and reassure him that everything will be alright, the lights come on in the room and he becomes a save point. There are multiple Toads scattered throughout the mansion who all serve this function, which is awesome because who doesn't love seeing that excited little face of his? Alright, that's enough of that now. In order to actually capture a ghost, you first have to stun them with your torch. In that moment, it then becomes possible to latch onto them with your vacuum. While attached to a ghost, you have to move the analog stick in the opposite direction they're pulling in, creating a tugging action which helps drain their health faster until they reach 0 and get sucked up into the poltergust. When you defeat all the ghosts in a single room, the lights come back on and sometimes you're rewarded with a chest. These chests, which Luigi feels inclined to hump open for some reason, contain anything from keys, upgrade tokens, to just loads of money.
Wonga!
When you get a key, the door which it opens is highlighted on your map screen, letting you know exactly where you need to go next, which is awesome because especially in the early game, the mansion could be quite disorienting. And having a feature like this is a great way to keep track of both where you've been and where you need to go next. It's also super useful in helping you not fall for all of the fake doors. God, I fucking hate these things. So this, in essence, is the game. You go through the mansion, clearing rooms of all their ghosts, getting keys to new rooms, and then clearing those out. But it's not as monotonous as it sounds. The game is also chock full of puzzles and ways to really make you think and use your brain, such as utilizing mirrors in order to see buttons that aren't visible to you otherwise, or using the Poltergust 3000 suction mechanic to manipulate the environment. You're also able to upgrade your Poltergust with special medals you find in chests. Once applied, these allow you to use elemental abilities such as fire, water, or ice. In order to use said abilities, you first have to find and suck up the corresponding elemental sprite to fill up the meter. So it's basically like using minced up ghosts as magical ammunition. Happy Halloween, I guess. What this essentially means is that you then have access to a freeze ray, a water gun, and of course, a flamethrower. Everyone loves a flamethrower, isn't that right, Toad?
All must be cleansed.
The various elemental attacks can all be used to solve puzzles and uncover secrets, mainly by using the flame attachment to light candles. Wait, Luigi, no, don't light those. That's clearly a summoning circle. Luigi, stop! Oh, great, now you've done it. Oh, look, it's Satan. Well done, Luigi, you've doomed us all. Hey, so you know how it's called the Poltergust 3000, right? Well, doesn't that sort of imply that there were previous versions? I wonder what the Poltergust 1000 looked like. Because personally, I'm hoping it was just a Henry Hoover in a backpack. Every so often, you come across boss ghosts, which aren't as easy to capture as their more commonly appearing counterparts. Boss ghosts are, most of the time, invisible and cannot be stunned until you first meet some specific criteria. Sometimes it's as simple as waiting for the right moment, whereas other times it requires you to take a more proactive approach by changing something in the room. Finding out what exactly it is you have to do can be a bit tricky at times, but if you get stuck, you can always whip out one of EGAD's other inventions, the Game Boy Horror. This thing is a communicator, scanner, map, and inventory all rolled into one, and when you scan bosses with it, it reveals a small hint on how to defeat them. When you capture boss ghosts, Professor EGAD takes them and turns them into paintings with his ghost pressing machine? Why does this exist? Oh, so you can hang up the literal flattened forms of these spirits in your gallery for all to see. That's kind of fucked up, dude. Also, one of the bosses is a ghost baby. That's fun. Let's just indirectly remind our players that child mortality is a thing. Happy Halloween, you little shits! Nothing protects the innocent from the cold embrace of death. Now go the fuck to bed. If you're lucky, you might even wake up. While down in the boss gallery, EGAD tells me what actually happened and why all these ghosts are even here in the first place. You see, it turns out that he used to keep all his captured ghosts inside paintings until one day he caught a big boo called Boolossus, which basically caused the regular boos to form a union and break out all the other ghosts from their acrylic prisons. Unions. They just work. Now, if you were worried that all the ghosts in this game would just be boos, well, worry not, because Luigi's Mansion has a wide variety of types and designs for its non-boss enemies. Not only coming in different shapes, sizes, and colors, some ghosts have unique defeat conditions, such as masks that need to be removed, or requiring the use of certain elemental attacks. Boos are of course included in this game, but are classified as special ghosts that act as a sort of collectible, with a total tally visible in the corner of the screen. Unlike regular ghosts you encounter, they have no heart and don't need to be stunned, which means they can be sucked up immediately. They also won't ever attack you and instead simply try to run away. meaning that depending on the health of a boo, you could end up chasing the bastard for 24 minutes back and forth between the same two fucking rooms. They also like to hide and can only be found using the Game Boy Horror's radar. God, is there anything this thing can't do? On top of being able to scan enemies with it, you can also just scan whatever you like and get Luigi's opinion on it. Scan this, scan that, scan the mirror. What the fuck was that? Yes, it turns out if you examine a mirror with the Game Boy Horror, you teleport back to the main lobby. Which, as scary as it is the first time it happens, comes incredibly handy, especially the deeper into the game you get, when you'll have to run to and from the other side of the mansion all the time. It's a weird mechanic that doesn't really make any sense in universe, but it's useful, so I guess it gets a pass. As the game progresses, Luigi eventually meets a friendly ghost called Madame Clairvoyeur, who actually provides Luigi with help in finding Mario. Throughout the mansion, you'll find various items that Mario has dropped, such as his hat, a star, a sweaty glove, and when you take them back to Madame Sees the Future, she gives you a reading and tells you a little more information about what happened to Mario. And once she reads the final item, she tells us that she has no more help to give, and asks us to return her to her painting, willingly showing us her heart and allowing herself to be captured with grace and dignity. Oh, that doesn't look very willing. Eventually, we do find out what happened to Mario. After entering a well outside the mansion, we find ourselves peeking into a hidden room where we see Mario trapped inside of a painting. Unfortunately, we can't fit through this gap, so we need to find another way to get into this room, and the only way to do that is to get back to work sucking up some ghosts. It's here I'd actually like to take the time to highlight the atmosphere this game has, because I think it's genuinely really good. Of course, the game isn't particularly scary or anything. I mean, it's rated 3+, what did you expect? But with that said, the game is very good at setting its mood and keeping it. The mansion has a slightly unsettling vibe all throughout, with Luigi's animations reflecting whether or not he's in a dangerous area also being a really great touch. And I'm not sure why, but I'm a huge fan of these door opening cutscenes. There's something about them, I don't know, it just gels with me. Maybe it's because they kind of remind me of the FMV cutscenes from the original Resident Evil. Wait a minute. That game took place in a mansion as well. What if... Now hear me out here. What if they were the same mansion? Oh my god, it's true, they are the same mansion. Look! Staircase in the foyer, staircase in the foyer. Proofed!
But hey, that's just a theory.
Shut up, shut up, shut up! Finally, after much ghost busting, we at last enter the hidden room to free Mario, but are stopped in our tracks by King Boo, who then sucks us into a painting, where we then have to fight Bowser. Because he's been relevant so far. Now, this is no ordinary Bowser fight. There's no grabbing his tail this time. We're gonna have to use all the skills we learnt in the mansion in order to... Oh. I don't think Bowsers are supposed to do that. So, after an annoyingly difficult boss fight against King Boo in his... Bowser mech? We eventually defeat him and send him and his friends back into the Phantom Zone, which I guess just leaves Mario. How are we going to get him out of this painting? Well, luckily for us, Professor Egad's ghost pressing machine also works in reverse. Somehow. Whatever.
And so the matter of the ghosts was settled. Professor Egad was so delighted to have all of his paintings returned that he used the treasure Luigi had found to build Luigi a new house.
Aw, sweet, a new house? That's awesome! Come on, baby, show me that mansion. Wait, rank F? What's this piddly little thing? How much money did we get again? Oh. So it turns out, ghost money? Terrible exchange rate. So that was Luigi's Mansion, a very enjoyable experience if I do say so myself. The controls were a tad difficult to get into at first, but once you get into it, it's actually quite hard to put this game down. Fun gameplay, creative use of its mechanics, and just a generally good atmosphere. It's certainly a game I'd recommend anyone playing on Halloween. Just remember to watch out for the fake doors! And so that brings us to the end of this year's Halloween games. I do sincerely apologise for its lateness. I hope it was still enjoyable. Before we go, I'd just like to thank you all for watching, and to also personally thank my backers on Patreon. Aaron Loralian, Bree B, Feely Damon, Joshua Alexander, Liz Lilith, Kira Mitchell, and Leah. Thank you all so much for your generosity, and also for putting up with all of my delays. With that said, all that's left for me to do is to wish you all a happy belated Halloween and to remind you all to have fun and be good to one another. I've been Mayray, and you know what, I just realised something. Hey, health and safety guy.
Hello?
Why do we have matching earrings?
What I get up to on my weekends off is none of your business.
Good night, everybody.
Fast blood.
That still really hurts. Come one, come all, my children of the night, as we once again approach the... I've done that one before, haven't I? Double, double, toil and trouble. No, that one's shit too. Ookie dookie, it's time to get spooky. That's literally the worst one. Okay, so I ain't got a rhymey opening this year. Honestly, I'm just surprised I was able to get this video done for October. Assuming I did. Look, I'm just trying to make sure this Halloween special isn't a total disaster after the debacle that was last year's. Now, I don't hate Halloween Games 3, it was a perfectly fine video. Not sure why my bra was visible for most of it, but there we go. What it was, however, was both extremely long and painfully late, which is probably why it didn't do very well. I mean, who's gonna watch a nearly hour-long Halloween special released on the doorstep of Christmas? The writing was on the wall for poor old Halloween Games 3, and that writing said... Zippity-zorly, this video will do poorly. But let's not focus on that, because that was last year. Or 11 months ago, to be more precise. And we have an entirely new set of spoopy games to take a look at. So, without further delay, let's dive right into Halloween Games 4. Last year, we took a look at Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube, and I really enjoyed it. But I thought that, well, it wouldn't be fair if we just stopped after the first game, so why don't we see how its sequel turned out? No, not that one. The other one. The new one. It came out with... There we go. Luigi's Mansion 3 was released on Halloween Day 2019 for the Nintendo Switch, and is almost certainly the most recent game I've ever done in this series. The game opens up with a tour bus being driven by... Oh no, I don't think he should be allowed to drive. No, he definitely shouldn't be allowed to drive. Someone needs to stop him before... Okay, so in actuality, the bus doesn't crash, and we catch up with Luigi snoozing in the back. Ghost dog, run away! So it turns out, skipping the middle game might have meant that I missed some vaguely important story events. Looks like we'll have to fill in the blanks ourselves. Take it away!
How Luigi got his ghost dog.
Once upon a time, Luigi was driving his pickup truck down a dark, spooky road, when suddenly he hit a very hairy speed bump. Okay, we don't need to go into this anymore. The point is, Luigi has a ghost dog now, and it's adorable. So you know how I said Toad shouldn't be driving? Well, it seems that frankly he shouldn't even be trusted with walking down the stairs. The bus arrives at a gigantic golden hotel that Donald Trump wishes he was tasteless enough to build. He's a fascist. We enter the hotel and actually get a chance to wander around and explore. We even get to catch up with our friends.
Doggy.
Too cute. Gonna die. Oh, for the love of Toads, get down from there. You're gonna have an accident. You know, I think something's up with the staff here. I don't know what it is, but they just feel off to me. It's probably nothing. Probably just some good old-fashioned British xenophobia. We check in at the desk and are introduced to Helen Gravely, the owner of the hotel.
Why is she purple, though?
Luigi, you can't just ask people why they're purple. It's 2019.
But it's a valid question.
It's here I realise that the game sadly doesn't have any voice acting, instead replacing character speech with what I can only describe as Simlish.
Suma, Teritara, Nansum, Ti Mako, Nosfa, Kunsa.
Which is admittedly a little disappointing. I mean, why can't we just have a fully voice-acted Mario game already? It wouldn't sound that weird.
Luigi. He was probably taken out of a context.
Okay, maybe it might sound a bit weird. So after introducing herself, Miss Gravely shows us to our rooms, making special note of the fact that not only do we have rooms, but the Toads get their own as well. Oh yeah, I see how it is. Separate but equal. I can't make a joke about that. Once in his room, Luigi unpacks his things and crawls into bed, where he immediately falls asleep. Damn, that is some aggressive narcolepsy. Look, I'm all for people not letting their disabilities or health conditions get in the way of their lives or the things they want to do. However, I must question the decision to let a man who falls asleep that easily not only drive a car at high speeds, but to do so with a baby in the back seat. I just don't think it'll end well. Suddenly, Luigi is awoken by the sound of screams. He gets out of bed and begins investigating. Upon leaving his room, he discovers that something spooky is afoot. We go to check up on everyone, but they're all gone, with their rooms totally trashed as well. Also, it looks like Mario is quite the pizza lover. Don't worry, bro. I feel you on that one. Suddenly, on our way down the hallway, we're met by Helen Gravely, who was a ghost this whole time.
But why are you purple, though?
You can't just ask someone why they're purple. It's 2019.
Oh, no.
But it turns out she wasn't working alone. She's partnered up with none other than King Boo. You know, from the first one, with the Bowser mech. The round cunt. So, basically, Helen Gravely has the hots for King Boo and wants to get into his pants? Where do boos keep their genitals? So she broke him out of Egad's prison and hatched a plan to trap Luigi and his friends inside picture frames. Luigi only manages to escape this fate by jumping down a laundry chute. We come to in the basement and make our way to the underground parking lot. There we find a car which Polterpup seems to have taken a great interest in. We search the vehicle and find what appears to be an advanced poltergust inside. We're able to test the device before heading off into the rest of the game and yep, it sucks. In fact, it sucks so much that it... Holy shit, did we just kill that rat? Oh geez, forget that. You could just straight up obliterate them from existence with your flashlight. Like, there's not even a body. They just get fucking disintegrated. Anyway, combat is very similar to the first game, but with some interesting new additions. As before, we first have to stun ghosts before we can suck them up, though now it's simply done with the press of a single button, making the whole process feel a little less clunky in my opinion. Once stunned, we can latch onto a ghost, and as before, pulling away from them drains their health. However, in a new addition to the series, we now have the ability to slam them back and forth, smashing them into the ground, furniture, or even other ghosts, all to deal some extra damage. I love this new attack. It really adds some extra pow to the combat, but there is actually some strategy involved. You don't want to just be using this the first chance you get. See, in my experience, it's actually better to only start smashing after about 5 to 10 seconds of sucking. Wait, no, don't take that out of context. The reason being is that you only get a limited amount of time to slam them, and if you do it right away, they'll often escape before you finish them off. But if you drain their health enough first, then they'll actually be defeated and you won't have to re-stun them and do it all over again. You know, this game's a bit more violent than the last, isn't it? Between the vaporization and the ghost slamming, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those think of the children types. I'm just pointing out how it's a little odd that the series went from, haha, Green Mario catches ghosts with a Hoover, to Luigi savagely beats 3 women to death. At first, I didn't really like the fact that they seemingly made all the ghosts these generic Casper-looking bastards, but I ended up genuinely loving this change. The ghosts in this game are really fun and are absolutely brimming with personality, plus there are other ghost variations you'll find throughout the mansion, each with their own different and unique behaviors, voices, weaknesses, and strengths. In my opinion, it's actually an upgrade from the ghosts in the first game. This looks like a fun room. I wonder what's in here. Oh look, it's Professor Eggard. How'd he get in there? One of the many new tools at Luigi's disposal is the Dark Light, a device that can be used to both uncover hidden things like doors, treasure, and enemies, but also to bring people or objects out of paintings.
Don't worry, Professor. I'll fix those cataracts for you.
After rescuing Egad, he takes you back to the garage where he sets up his lab. Here he provides upgrades, training, and story exposition. And it turns out our Poltergust isn't the 3000 or even the 1000. Its actual name is the Poltergust G00. And I thought Xbox was bad at names. Obviously, it's meant to resemble the word goo for the game's most prominent new feature.
It's Flubber!
No, of course, it's Luigi, the slime girl waifu of all our dreams, who was a bit of a meme when the game first came out, and frankly is simply terrifying on a conceptual level. So, Luigi has all this goo in his backpack, right? And he can dispel it and it will become a goo clone of him. This goo clone, Gloan, has the unsettling ability to slosh his way through tight spaces such as grates, pipes, or prison bars like the terrifying T-1000 that he is. And the Terminator resemblances don't just stop there. This thing is completely emotionless and feels absolutely no fear.
Luigi has detected the presence of hostile spectral entities. Kill mode has been engaged, shutting off all mercy protocols. Kill, 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 kill.
His main function is to access areas of the map which Luigi cannot in order to flip switches, get treasure, or in some other way help solve puzzles. But he can also be used as a distraction or straight up bait. In several encounters I have found that sacrificing Luigi is not only beneficial, it's basically encouraged. Honestly, I'm kind of glad he can't feel. I do have to wonder though, if Luigi is a semi-sentient independent AI life form, why does Luigi lose consciousness when he's activated? I don't like the questions this game is making me ask. Another new addition to the game is the suction shot, wherein Luigi can fire a plunger onto certain surfaces, allowing him and Luigi to manipulate heavier objects. It can be used on furniture, walls, switches, and even some bosses require its use. All in all, I think it's a really fun tool with a lot of great versatile applications. And while we're on the subject of bosses, they have changed a little since Luigi's Mansion 1. Gone are passive bosses that don't actively attack you. Every boss in Luigi's Mansion 3 is aggressive, but that doesn't mean they all feel too similar to each other. Some boss fights are easy to understand. Bomb, mouth, I see what you're saying, game. But others are a little less obvious in what you have to do, and was that a dab? Was it? That is an official Mario game with a dab in it. Also, I'm pretty sure everyone here is just the guy from that Crazy Frog Racing game and oh shit. I accidentally cursed the video by mentioning Crazy Frog Racer. Sorry everybody. The puzzles in this game are also very clever and at times can be really tricky. The movie studio puzzle especially just left me stumped. I almost had to use a walkthrough, but I managed to figure it out in the end. I'm 24. I also absolutely loved the use of mirrors in this game to show things that we couldn't see with the static camera, and in conjunction with the dark light to reveal hidden objects only visible in the mirror. Absolutely magnificent. Just mwah. chef's kiss. Now, hotels are pretty big, and this one is no exception. So how's a 35-year-old plumber from Brooklyn supposed to get around a joint like this? Well, you use the elevators, silly. When you defeat a boss, they drop elevator buttons, which you can use to unlock new floors of the hotel, which is a great streamlined approach to level progression. Getting from one part of the building to another is so quick now. You can go from floor 2 to floor 12 in the same time it would take you to go from 2 to 3, and you don't need to backtrack for hours or work in convoluted teleportation mechanics. Having the levels separated like this just works, and it makes exploration much less of a chore and more something you'd actually want to do. While out exploring the mansion, Professor Egad likes to stay in contact with you through his new invention, the Virtual Boo. You get it? Because it's like the Virtual Boy. It's so funny and refreshing to see Nintendo make fun of some of their past mistakes. Now do the rest. Unfortunately, the Virtual Boo doesn't serve a huge amount of purpose in this game. The most useful thing I've found is it allows you to teleport to the lab and then jump back to where you were, but aside from that, it's got an EGAD hotline, which is rarely ever useful. And frankly, all this thing seems to do is give EGAD the means with which to constantly fucking bother me! Just shut up. Let me have fun. I just want to explore. Throughout the mansion, you're able to find all 7 Chaos you're able to find various gems. Each floor has 6 of them hidden throughout, with some being fairly easy to attain and others being more well hidden. A nice little detail is that each gem set is themed to match the aesthetic of the different floors, such as music notes for the theatre, spanners for the boiler works, or swords for the medieval floor. You know, like all hotels have. Yeah, where do people actually stay in this hotel? I've seen like a couple of bedrooms here and there, but this place is mostly just a weird amalgamation of unconnected microbiomes stacked on top of each other. Whoa, this floor's gone a bit post-apocalyptic. Oh, giant mushrooms? Nah, this shit just turns straight into The Last of Us. I can't wait for the scene where Daisy beats Mario to death with a golf club. Aw, too soon. Good. Hey, hang on. Well, that looks like... I think that's Waluigi's Smash Bros. Invite. He probably wasn't going to need it anyway. As with Luigi's Mansion 1, the game also features boos for you to catch, except I only ever saw like 2. You can find more of them with an item you buy from EGAD's shop, actually giving a function to all the money you keep finding, because as we learned last time, ghost money is fucking worthless. They literally keep it in bins. As you progress through the game, you rescue several toads. These are the guys who came with you to the hotel and got frozen in picture frames. After freeing them, they join you for a while until you send them down to EGAD's lab. That is the cutest fucking thing I have ever seen, and I want 12. While you have a toad with you, you're able to, well, launch them. This feature is used mainly for puzzles or treasure collecting. You can make them knock stuff over, break down walls, and generally cause them a worrying amount of head trauma.
Hey, can you throw me another Capri Sun?
There's even a bit later on where you have to re-rescue a toad after he gets ambushed, and you have to work out where he is based on the found footage from his body cam, which on top of being a fun puzzle, is also just a very bizarre thing to have in a Mario game. Now I want a reboot of the Blair Witch Project but with Toad. This game has a terrific atmosphere, though I would say the game has lost some of its genuine creep factor that the original had. Luigi's Mansion 3 makes up for that in its sheer variety of environments, awesome sound design, stellar level design, fantastic art direction, great visual humor, and the fact that yes, it did get me a couple of times. I also want to pay my respects to this moment on floor 11, where just before the boss fight, all the doors start taking you to different rooms. It was a genuinely bewildering experience, and it really freaked me out before I realized what was happening. Eventually though, all good things must come to an end. After making our way through the hotel, we confront and capture Helen Gravely, and then we fight King Boo himself, where everything goes a bit crazy. Both these fights are excellent and really help cement that there are simply no bad boss fights in this game. Man, why'd you have to ruin everything? The actual ending to this game is strangely wholesome. After defeating King Boo, the hotel starts quaking and eventually collapses entirely. Many of the ghosts we've captured throughout our adventure end up escaping, but realize that with King Boo and Gravely gone, they no longer have to do their bidding. And so the gang decides to help build them a new mansion, and we get this really sweet montage of these absolutely adorable illustrations of everyone hard at work constructing the ghost's new home, complete with severe health and safety violations. No, I'm not feeling it today. Honestly, any criticisms I have of this game are pretty minor. The view outside the windows is a bit crappy looking, I suppose. The controls by and large are brilliant, but there are one or two slightly odd mapping choices. Most notably, using the dark light while walking around is really awkward. I mean, look at this weird claw hand I gotta do. What's up with that? And while I still hold true that the art direction is superb, I gotta say the scaling in this game is a bit weird. Look at how big this toilet is compared to Luigi, yet look at how low the door handles are. If Helen Gravely wanted to go through this door, well, she just phased through it because she's a ghost. She'd have to bend down to open it because the door handle would be at her bloody knees. But ignoring those very minor nitpicks, Luigi's Mansion 3 is an incredible, cute, exciting, spooky adventure that is definitely worth playing whenever Halloween rolls around. Well, wasn't that fucking lovely? After that, I feel like we need a... Oh no, what's the... A ghost? Oh, what's he doing? Oh dear, he's possessed my GameCube. Oh, I'm so sorry. Haunt the House Terror Town was a Flash-based browser game released in 2010 that eventually saw its way onto Steam as a fully fledged game in 2013. You play as a cute little ghost who must fly around a house and scare its occupants by possessing items. You keep doing this until everyone in the house has run away terrified. Wait a minute. Didn't we already do this one? When you begin the game and start possessing items, you only have a minor scare available to use. But the more you change the atmosphere of the house, the more intensities of scares become available to you. As I said before, the objective is to get people scared enough that they leave the house. It doesn't matter how, whether they run out of the front door, jump through a window, or fucking phase into the multiverse apparently. So long as they leave the premises, you can count that as a success. Now, I just wanted to get this one small criticism of the game out of the way first. But before I do, I'm just gonna pop this asterisk in the corner. Don't worry, we'll come back to it. Right, with that being said, this game's controls are fucking terrible. So you use the arrow keys to move around, which just doesn't work. It's imprecise, doesn't flow well, and is simply frustrating to use. Having to hit S to possess things is fine, but the scares being mapped to A, D, and W is just ludicrous, because in a panic, I just end up mashing the keys, and for some reason, I don't know how, I always seem to end up in the pause menu, and trying to exit that menu with escape causes the entire game to close on me. These controls are some of the most poorly thought out pieces of shit I have ever had the misfortune of using. However, remember that asterisk I put in the corner? Well, it's there for the simple, teeny tiny fact that you can actually just use a controller and it's infinitely more playable. Whoops. Oh my god, that is so much better. Okay, so pro tip for Haunt the House, speedrun strat, hidden secret of this game, plug in a controller. Your sanity will thank you. Another more serious tip for this game is essentially to try and single out people. Stalk them, follow them into whatever room they go in, and keep your attention focused on scaring them, and eventually they'll get the message. Honestly, there really isn't a whole lot more to this game. You fly around the house, possess furniture, make it go all like that, and whittle down the number of people until it reaches 0. But to keep things interesting, the game has multiple maps to play on, with North Pole just being a singular large Christmas-themed area, and the other two, Terror Town and Ghost Train, being comprised of several smaller sections which you can fly to and from as you please. One of the benefits of the maps which feature multiple locations is that being able to freely go from one area to another whenever you like really does help break up the somewhat repetitive nature of the gameplay. gameplay. Bored of the hospital? Check out the cruise! Lost interest in the cruise? Why not take a trip to the theatre? Look, you can see a man doing Shakespeare and... Wait, did I just... You can kill people in this game? Yeah, no, I don't blame you, love. You just saw a man die. Fair enough. So, yes, some NPCs can't actually be scared away and need to be... horribly murdered. Don't worry though, after they die you can swap out to their ghosts and force them to carry on your mission. Yeah, sorry Alfred, I know you were busy, what with being alive and all, but I decided that scaring away blocky children with Mr. Potato Head faces was more important than your continued existence. I hope that's okay. When you beat the main map of the game, Terror Town, you get this strange victory screen with a portrait of you and all the characters you killed that says, "Our family." So, were these all members of our family? Was Alfred really Uncle Alfred? Was this game the story of a young boy who died and was lonely as a ghost, so he killed his family as to not be lonely anymore? Actually, that's quite good. I'm gonna write that down. The general look of this game is quite pleasant. Its art style is consistent and does have a fairly spoopy feel to it. I love the little touch of the items you possess having your face on them. It's quite cute. However, the game does have a few issues here and there. Sometimes the game will just lag when you try to possess things, and it actually crashed fairly regularly for me. There's also this annoying glitch where people can become stuck on the stairs, and this happened twice, both on the last person left, which was a tad annoying. Overall, Haunt the House is a decent time waster, but it is rather shallow in my opinion. Not bad, but not really mind-blowing either. I think Haunting starring Poltergeist actually did a lot more with this concept, and as such was a more enjoyable experience. It certainly had better scare animations, that's for sure.
And with that said, we come to the end of Halloween Games 4. I know, only 2 games this year. Well, you know, with the world ending and such, I felt like, you know, sacrifices had to be made. And, well, that's all for this year. So I guess I'll see you next time, and... No. No. Please, no. You can't make me!
So, if you remember last year, I played Castlevania 64. It wasn't very good. You may also recall that I never even beat Stage 1. And in light of that, I said this. I'll make sure I punish myself for this next year, punish myself for this next year, punish myself for this next year.
Me and my big mouth.
So it looks like for my sins of not going very far in the series' first 3D game, I'm being punished by playing what is considered by many to be the worst entry in the series' long history. Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest. This game needs no introduction. You've seen the AVGN episode, you know the memes. I even made a reference to this thing all the way back in Halloween Games 1. That's how long I've been running from this.
And it has been chasing me ever since, like a dog after a bacon-clad postman. Yes, it seems like playing this game was inevitable. Much like Samoa Joe or Marvel's Thanos, or the true threat to the universe, Samoa Janos. Does it seem like I'm stalling for time so that I don't actually have to play this game? Because I actually have a very interesting story about stalling for time. See, it all started about 3 years ago when I... Alright, fine.
So we start up the game and get a mercifully short prologue.
Step into the shadows of the Hell House. You've arrived...
Oh. Well, okay, guess I won't read it. Luckily for those of you who love to see me suffer, I'm playing this through the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which comes with the usual long-winded prologues for all the games right next to them on the menu. Hooray!
You're Simon Belmont, bravest of the brave, boldest of the bold, a Gothic warrior, respected by kings. You earned your praise not by crushing Viking invaders or Turkish hordes, but by destroying the evil Count Dracula in a duel to the death at Castlevania.
What, like the pay-per-view?
But your victory proved painful, as the wounds inflicted during the duel slowly gnawed at your soul. One day, though, a beautiful maiden appeared. With a soft voice, she warned that you were possessed by the Count's curse. She said your only hope of destroying the curse and healing your scars was to find the 5 body parts of Count Dracula and burn them in his castle, ending forever the reign of the Prince of Darkness. Suddenly, like most beautiful visions, she began to fade.
What? Is Simon an alcoholic? What the fuck is going on?
And as you reached to touch her, she spoke her final words. Fear not, brave Simon, for if you have the courage to risk your life, you will find the strength to win again.
What a load of bollocks. So, to summarize, Dracula hasn't actually returned, but before he died, he put a curse on you.
I curse you!
And in order to get rid of it, you have to burn his body, which has been separated into several bits and hidden throughout the land. Now, why is Dracula's body in several pieces? You see, there's actually a very interesting reason for that. He was very broken up after how his last relationship ended. So the game begins and I can't tell where I am. Is this me? Am I this one? Where is my Billy Belmont? Oh, here he is, completely camouflaged into the brick. Well, that's a good start. I'll tell you what else is a good start, buying a white crystal. And that's not my idea, that's what this random vagrant told me. So I guess we might as well do that. After buying a likely stolen crystal from some hooded miscreant, I make my way out of town and am almost immediately killed by overpowered enemies. Oh joy. This is going to be one of those kinds of games. Is it too late to become Amish so I'm forbidden by God from playing this? It is. Well, fuck. The basic structure to Castlevania 2 is similar to that of the original Legend of Zelda, in that it's an old game that tells you nothing and makes me want to cry. You roam across the map fighting monsters in search of special dungeons, or in this game's case, mansions, wherein you will find some piece of a puzzle you need to complete in order to beat the game, in this case, the various body parts of one Senor Dracula. And when you break it down like that, this game doesn't sound half difficult. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. The game tells you nothing. Nada. Not even what direction to go in. You just have to be lucky and pick the right way to start your adventure. And that right way is conveniently right. Going left at the start of the game basically kills you instantly. But right? Yeah, this feels more level appropriate. A big part of this game are the towns dotted around the world. They all apparently have names, but once again, the game doesn't tell you anything, so it's kind of hard to know which one you're in. But they are at least distinguishable by their color schemes and layouts. In these towns is where you'll find villagers, merchants, and most importantly, churches, which are the only way to heal in this game. What, you thought you'd heal by picking up those hearts? Were you tattooed as a baby? This is Castlevania! Hearts are anything but health. In this game, they're currency. Because of course they are. On top of all the retail facilities, towns are also full of villagers who provide almost every piece of in-game information on what you have to do. The only problem is working out what the fuck any of them are trying to tell you. They say the most bafflingly stupid shit, like, sure, sometimes it's pretty clearly a clue, but 90% of the time, these villagers are just useless.
Dracula's eyeball reflects the curse.
What the fuck does that mean, though?
Don't look into the Death Star or you will die.
The controls in this game are, for a lack of a better term, a bit shit. Once again, we return to the classic mechanic of fixed jumping, meaning that you have zero in-air control over where you land, and you're committed to landing in a certain place the moment you leave your feet. This is terrible, and I hate it. On top of the jumping, the movement controls in general are just really bad. Unresponsive, stiff, and it is way too easy to die in this game. I seriously lost count of how many times I've jumped to my death because of these controls. Combat is also a pain in the ass. Restricted to attacking in only two directions, left and right, severely limits what Simon can do with his whip, leaving him vulnerable to attacks that come from anywhere except directly to either of his sides. Enemy placement is also, frankly, a disaster. You'll often be overwhelmed and boxed in by enemies
enemies that swarm you relentlessly. You'll jump down and fall right into a pile of skeletons you couldn't see, and sometimes you'll just get shunted back to the previous screen by an enemy you had no chance of reacting to in time. The worst enemies have to be the slimes. The fidgety, jumpy bastards are so annoying and difficult to deal with. They are followed closely by longtime favourite most hated enemy, the flying Medusa heads, and their cousins, Eyeball and Skull. Hey, is that Mr. Bones?
You didn't tell me you were in this game as well, Mr. Bones. I think I liked you better when you were trying to steal my soul.
When you respawn, you are put back almost exactly where you died, no matter how disadvantageous that would be for you. And did I mention that churches are the only place you can heal? Because I feel it bears repeating. Not a single item in this game will heal you. Not a pork chop, nor a roast chicken, not a magic potion, nor any combination of coloured herbs. The only ways to heal is to either rest in a church or just get lucky and level your health up. And with towns being few and far between, and with enemies that won't stop respawning, you can see why this might become a problem fast. You have no idea how frustrating it is to be in a constant state of low health while picking up hearts that do absolutely nothing. Worst is when you desperately need to heal, but the town you happen upon turns out to be populated entirely by atheists because there's not a single church to be seen. As I said earlier, hearts are a currency in this game. You use them to buy things like some demented black market organ trading. And you need a lot of them, let me tell you. When you start the game, you only have 50, which is just enough to buy a white crystal. After that, however, you need to buy holy water, which is another 50 hearts. Then on top of that, you need to buy a thorn whip because the wet spaghetti strand you start with is almost completely useless. Unfortunately, that's 150 additional hearts you don't have. And you know what you have to do to get them? Grinding! And I suppose here we can talk about what is probably the most infamous part of the game. The day to night transition. Every 5 or so minutes, the game will stop dead in its tracks to tell you that it's transitioning to or from night mode. We all know the memes, it's a terribly annoying mechanic and it serves no purpose other than slowing down your progress and making you want to commit war crimes. During the night, enemies are stronger, shops and churches are closed, and towns are overrun with hostile ghouls. So basically, it turns the game into the 2020 pandemic. It does, however, also provide you with the shining opportunity to partake in Castlevania 2's greatest pastime. That's right, it's grinding! Because when the shops are closed, what else can you do except slay the undead? Since hearts are now money, the secondary items are unlimited and require no ammunition, with the exception of things like garlic and laurels. But your holy water, knife, and other assorted weaponry have infinite uses. Which is good, because if I had to refill my holy water, I think I'd commit a second war crime. You use holy water to uncover secrets and to help with identifying fake blocks. It's honestly a pretty essential item because without it, you'd likely miss a lot of shopkeepers who sell important items like garlic. If by some miracle you manage to find yourself inside one of the mansions in this game, then get ready because you're in for one hell of a ride. A slow, laggy, almost slug-like ride as the game completely eats ass during these segments. As I said, they're basically like Zelda dungeons, only less fun. There's never really any great puzzles to solve, you just need to find the special room with the glowing orb in it and then you can just grab the... Wait, why doesn't that work? What am I supposed to do? Shove it up my ass? Oh, okay, I see. You need to throw a wooden stake at the orb first. That makes sense. Not to mention you first have to locate the hidden merchant who sells you the damn thing, which is also very logical. You now possess Dracula's... What the fuck? The game is full of cryptic shit like this. Puzzles that you would have had absolutely no clue how to solve unless you bought a copy of Nintendo Power or had a friend who just knew the secret. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. There is legit no way you could work out some of this game's nonsensical esoteric bullshit. Take the crystal puzzles for example. Come across a stretch of water you can't pass? Why, just kneel down with a crystal in your hand and what do you know? Now the water doesn't kill you for some reason. Oh, and what's this? A dead end? No matter, just kneel with a red crystal and the fucking Tasmanian devil will appear and take you to where you need to go. How is anyone supposed to figure out any of this shit on their own? Oh, let me guess, if you speak to a random villager in some butthole town with no shops, he'll tell you,
Last Wednesday, I took a shit by the river, and you won't believe what the crystal in my pocket did.
well, sorry I didn't go around asking the life story of every villager I came across. I had better things to do. No, I didn't.
Clues to Dracula's riddle are in the town of Alba.
That's not a town, that's Scotland. The boss fights in this game are laughably bad, and there's only 3 of them. 5 mansions and 1 castle, and you're only able to give me 3 bosses? We got the Grim Reaper, a mask, and the final Dracula fight. That's it. Each boss barely puts up a fight, and the only reason Dracula is any trouble at all is because he decides to try and fight you from several dimensions at once. And can we talk about the absolute random assortment of body parts you have to collect? A rib, an eye, a heart, a nail, and a ring? Wait, do you mean like a... Are they talking about... In the end, you collect all of Dracula's parts, walk through his completely empty castle, and throw them into the fire. But in the flames, they join together and he is reborn! Although, given the limited body parts we used, he should probably look more like this. Though I doubt we would have had the Netflix series if they went with this design.
I'm killing a boy.
You fight him, he freaks out and phases around the room, and eventually dies. And so the world is saved. The battle has consummated. Now peace and serenity have been restored to Transylvania, and the people are free of Dracula's curse forever. And you, Simon Belmont, will always be remembered for your bravery and courage. Okay, first of all, I'm pretty sure those last 2 are the same thing, and also, this screen had to be sped up by several 100% due to how slow it was. I know I'm a slow reader, but come on. And so ends Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest, considered by many to be one of the worst games in the entire franchise. And honestly, yeah, it's pretty bad. From the get-go, the game tells you nothing, and while I understand that NES games were limited in how much text they could use, it still does a pretty poor job of using any other method to get across your objectives. See, something like Zelda works because it uses its world building to help explain to the player what they should do. See a cave, enter it and get a sword. No objective marker needed, just good game design. It also creates rules and lets you play around with the mechanics you've learnt and gives you the tools to solve the game's mysteries without just outright telling you. It doesn't hurt that there's no completely bullshit crystal holding puzzles, but it's mainly the world design. Not to mention, having a real health and currency system that doesn't force grinding is also a bonus. Don't have enough money to afford essential items? Just spend an entire in-game day grinding for hearts. Oops, you needed health? Too bad, it's night now, so the town is full of zombies. Better grind while you wait. Remember your 3 Gs, children. Grinding is great gameplay. Stiff, unresponsive controls, unfair enemies, nonsensical puzzles, grindy as fuck gameplay, and a completely unsatisfying end make Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest a genuine chore to play. And I had a walkthrough. I can't imagine trying to play this game without assistance. It's unfair, unfun, and frankly, unholy. I banish ye, Castlevania 2. I banish ye to hell. And with that, we come to the end of this year's Halloween games. What a lovely time it's been, except for the shit bits. 2020 has been one hell of a year in all the most terrible of ways. And although we may not be able to go out to celebrate this Halloween season, there's still plenty you can do at home to help spread some spooky festive cheer. You could watch a Halloween special, or eat an entire pumpkin of candy. Or you could sit down, relax, and partake in that sweet electronic escapism that we call video games. Just make sure it's not this one. With that being said, I'd just like to personally thank you all so much for watching, and remember, have a happy Halloween, stay safe, and be good to one another. I've been Mayray, and don't worry, I've still got one more spooky video left in me this year, so I'll be seeing you all again real soon. Good night, everybody! Thank you all so much for watching, and a special spooky thanks to all my backers on Patreon. Aaron Loralian, Bree B, Liz Lilith, Joshua Alexander, Kira Mitchell, and Julie. Thank you all so much for your generous contributions. This dang headband is just travelling down my face. Oh, shite. It's fine. No one will notice. Except for me, in the edit. And everyone watching at home in the blooper reel! Me and my big mouth. God, I fucking hate Big Mouth. Was to find the 5 body parts of Dracula and burn them in his castle. Burn. What my word, Potter. You'll finish. Hello, my name is Lily. I'm a witch. I'm slightly overweight. But I've been losing weight with magic spells and dieting. Why are you messaging me? I hate you! Oh, it's Stephen. Never mind. Holding book. There's something I forgot. Oh, bugger. Hit the light with me head. My hat is like, it's too low. There we go, that's better. You need to see the face. This is the money maker. Sadly, that money is only about £6 a month. But it's money! Hey ho, hey ho, it's off to Sweden we go. What? You thought you would heal by picking up those hearts? Were you tattooed as a baby? It's not a saying. Were you tattooed as a baby? This is... Why? It's not funny. Nothing I write is funny. Welcome to the Slow Decay of My Mind, a documentary by Lily P. Buttersworth. I don't fucking know, is that what I'm called? This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.